Stop it. Rachel, call.
I'm looking at the week of May 15 for the trial.
Stop it. Stop it. Rachel, call.
Taylor, relax, Taylor.
Good, stop.
She's got your cord.
I'm not there.
Clear the courtroom. Good, stop.
Ma'am, stop. Just stop.
Taylor, it's me.
Oh, you have to go out, sir.
Peter, settle down.
Clear the courtroom.
Peter, settle down.
Calm down, Mina.
Go
Calm down.
out.
Peter, settle down. Peter, settle down.
Love you.
Get your headboards back. I'm gonna get her out of here.
205 transports.
Yep.
We'll need you back here ASAP for transport with that direct.
Hey, Derek, hey,
Yep.
on the ground.
What do you have?
I'm on the ground.
You must want officers, I know.
Gracias.
Got it. Just relax, Taylor, okay? You guys probably can get it, but your video, just make sure they're on.
You went off on your attorney, Taylor. You went crazy on your attorney.
You can't do that.
You okay?
Are you able to
You're
sit
gonna
up?
stay here for a minute, all right?
Are you able to sit up, Taylor?
She can, though. She's gonna stay right where she's at. Just relax. Let you breath. Yeah, what the fuck did he
I have
need?
no idea. Okay, cameras.
I'm sorry.
Cameras.
I asked Quinn if he needed medical.
Taylor?
like, he did.
Was he
You
injured?
okay?
She went to him.
Okay, but he's okay?
He's okay.
I'm
I
gonna have you
asked
sit up
him.
against the door. Okay, we're gonna help you. Okay? So get your feet underneath you. Turn towards me.
They can't open it.
Just a little bit.
No, that's okay. We'll use it.
I have this
All right,
whole
1, 2,
area
3.
cleared.
Okay, slide back.
Yep.
All the way to the door.
Use your feet and just push back. There you go.
There you go. Perfect.
One more big one.
You're good. All right. Just relax. Are you hurt?
No.
You hurt anywhere? Your wrist?
No.
Let's see, you got some bruising.
Any tingling in your fingers or feet or neck? Good. Your vision okay?
All right.
Down into the,
What do you want to do?
hold on, second floor, holding?
This
first covered or we?
Well, we're gonna prelim.
Okay, because they bring them 7 in.
All right.
Yeah, let's just go to second. There's only one that's going by there.
Taylor, can you walk?
Oh, yeah.
All right, can you get your shoes on? Go ahead, baby.
205 monitor, we're moving to the second floor holding.
You doing all right?
Enjoy the music while you wait while I switch over to another video. This woman is a lunatic. Mod on deck! Emmanuel! Okay, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to start. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Donna Just Being Real. My channel is all about dating, love, relationships, toxic relationship advice channel. So we're getting back into this Taylor Schabusiness. I've done some commentary on this woman. She's an absolute lunatic. She's crazy. So she went to trial, but she wanted to say that she went for saying that she was insane. And, like I said on this channel, I like to hear like the psychological reviews of, their childhood and what they went through. And this, what she went through was basically her. Wait a minute, do I have it set up right? Yes, I do. She should be coming through the courtroom in a second. All right. And my opinion, I feel that, she should have been, how you say, I think the choices were not guilty by insanity. I think she's really crazy. I think she needs to have been in a facility that would help her. But I think some people just basically said that she wasn't insane. She's just guilty because they thinking that, she's going to get out of jail. No, what she did to this guy is horrific. She basically cut up his body. She went over to his mother's house. Him and her went over to the mother's house. Whatever, doing those drugs. Stay away from drugs, that fentanyl, meth, whatever it was. Getting high, having some crazy sex. She cuts his head off, put it in a bucket, cut off his wood stick, put it in the bucket. She put on a strap on. Yeah, and you know what she did with it. I don't want to get in detail. All right, this woman's completely out of her mind. And normal people don't do it. And I watched the trial. So if you want to see, I have some, videos I did when I was covering the trial. And the trial was really quick. I don't understand why the judge was so quick. But whatever. I don't know. Every state is different. Is then when she tried to attack. Yep, that's when she tried to attack the lawyer. I wanted to show a little bit of that one. And I see you purple up in here, and Emmanuel Lovejoy, Amber, and TB in the house. I see you too. All right, so let's get ready to start. So we're going to be watching basically the sentencing. We're going to hear what the sentencing is. This happened during the week. So I'm doing recaps with the sentencing and the impact statements. Impact statement. So this trial was something else. And I was so looking forward to trial, but this judge was so rushing. And me, after hearing what the psychologist said, and I believe it's true. I believe it's true what she was going through, in her childhood. And this is what I keep saying, ladies and gentlemen. Donna, I'm sending you an email. I need to talk to you about something personal. Oh, absolutely. Okay. All right. I will check. If you're doing it right now, I'll check the email while I have this running. Okay, girl? Gotcha, Amber. Gotcha. So, let's get into it. I think I'm going to fast for a little bit because she's just sitting there. Now, if anybody who's here or watching the replay, please let me know, why does she have this thing on her face? Only thing I'm thinking, that reason why this is on her face is because when during the trial, she kept making little expressions, smiles and everything. And her expressions, to me, my opinion, it's like she had people in her head talking to her. If you watch how she acted in the trial, you can see, watch it, because I got the whole psychological review on there, and watch that video. And then, with her in the trial. And I'm like, it's like she's talking to somebody, like somebody's talking to her, little people or something. I think she's totally out of her mind. But I have to say one thing. Her lawyer did a phenomenal job, especially about saying that she was insane, trying to get her off.
Recording
on that one.
just stopped.
Okay.
Hey, it's Dana from Street.
Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, look like the judge is coming in, right? Yes, he is. Hold a second. All right. Before the judge talk, I want to talk. Make sure you hit the like button, share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section, and also, subscribe to the channel and check out some of my past commentary. All right, let's get into Taylor Schabusiness. This is the sentencing / impact statements we're going to be watching. And Lovejoy said, happy Saturday, everyone. Perfect timing, rainy day around here. About to start my laundry, but we'll be listening. All right, girl. Yeah, yesterday was just raining so hard. Oh my gosh, it was insane. All right, hopefully everybody's safe and they're having a good one. And let's get to it. And Amber, I will be checking the email. Let's get it.
Okay, I'll call 20 CF 998, 20 CF 1393, 22 CF 363. State appears by Assistant Deputy District Attorney Caleb Saunders. The defendant is here in person.
We'll be here forever. So you know how we do when we do recaps? We do it on a faster speed. I'm going to shoot for 1.5, ladies and gentlemen. And if it's too fast for you, what you could do is hit the setting and set it to whatever's comfortable for you. All right. And I also want to give a shout out to everybody. Thank you so much for all the channel blessings. Send it to the Cash App, PayPal, Super Chat, whatever. The thank yous, the thanks. I appreciate. Thank you. And I appreciate the emails and everything saying that, you know, you find value in my commentary and it's helpful to you. I appreciate it. That's the only reason why I'm doing this. To help people to date smart and not thirsty. And this one here, I'll say, stay away from drugs. Resume.
Person and with Attorney Freilich. We're on the court's calendar for sentencing hearing today, as well as sentencing and revocation on those earlier files. Is the state ready to proceed, Mr. Saunders?
I'm sorry, Judge.
Is the state ready to proceed?
We are.
Mr. Freilich?
Yes.
Okay, I've got a copy of the pre-sentence investigation report that was ordered by the court. I have a
Oh, Lovejoy. Makes sense. She must have been walking around spitting at everybody in the jail. Makes sense, cause I'm like, she's not a Hannibal Lecter or nothing, but she ain't too far from it, right? I mean, she didn't eat the guy up, but she cut his butt. Let's not even get into it. All right, resume. Everybody feel free to read the description.
copy of the independent pre-sentence investigation report that Mr. Freilich had submitted. I've had an opportunity to read both. I've also got some submittals that were submitted by Mr. Freilich. So let me start with the pre-sentence investigation report that was ordered by the court. Mr. Saunders, did you get a copy of that?
I did.
Did you get a copy of the other documents, including Mr. Freilich's independent evaluation?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Freilich, did you get a copy of the PSI that was ordered by the court?
Yes, by the Department of Corrections, Your Honor. Yes, I did.
All right, any changes or corrections?
No, I can tell the court that I did review that with my client this past Friday, talked about it, talked about the recommendations that the Department of Corrections for the state of Wisconsin was making, and there are no changes.
All right. Then let me just get a sense of how the proceeding is going to work. Does the state have any witnesses you intend to call at the sentencing hearing today?
No witnesses. There is one victim impact statement that would like to be orally addressed to the court, but no witnesses per se.
Okay. Mr. Freilich, do you intend to call witnesses today?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
And can you give me a sense of how many you intend to call?
Sure. One would be my client's grandmother, Esther Coronado. She resides in Temple, Texas, and I believe she would appear via Zoom with the court's permission. I have Dr. James O'Donnell here from Illinois, the toxicologist, pharmacologist. He would provide some testimony about the meth use and the effects of that. Valerie Armour, that's my client's cousin. She's here from Ohio with my client's great aunt, Roberta, but only Valerie Armour would provide testimony. And then I have my client's father, brought here from the prison system via writ of habeas corpus to provide some testimony, and his name is Arturo Coronado.
Okay. My thought is, as long as we have witnesses, we should probably take the witnesses first, rather than once the witnesses have all testified, then we can receive argument from counsel. Any objection to that, Mr. Saunders?
No.
Mr. Freilich?
No, Your Honor.
All right, that would mean, although we typically start with the state, that would mean we would turn to you, Mr. Freilich, because you're the only one with the witnesses. So if you want to call your first witness, you can do so.
Okay. Before I do that, Your Honor, if I may, I did receive the independent pre-sentence report. It's lengthy, contains an attached alcohol and other drug assessment. I reviewed that entire document, the evaluation and the report, with my client last evening at the Brown County Jail. We had a lengthy conversation, again, to talk about this case. And with that said, I would call Esther Coronado, my client's grandmother.
Okay. Is she coming in on the Galaxy Tab E?
I believe yes.
Okay, so I'm seeing that on my laptop, but I'm not seeing it on the screen. Okay. So, are you Ms. Coronado?
Yes.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place you under oath, and then Mr. Freilich is going to have some questions for you, and the prosecutor may.
Okay, let's hear the enablers. These enablers be tripping me out. Oh well, she has a right to feel what she want to feel, right? Okay, let's get back to it. I believe this is the mother on the father's side, because the father looked just like the grandma, his mother. That's her grandmother. I got it right? That's her grandmother. Okay, let's hear this. Let's get it.
May or may not have some questions, but I'm going to start by asking you to raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Very good. Mr. Freilich, the witness is yours.
Thank you so much, Your Honor. Ma'am, you are Esther Coronado,
Yes.
and what is your date of birth?
January 1st, 1942.
Okay. And are you married?
Yes.
Are you married to Juan Coronado?
Yes.
Okay. And where do you live, ma'am?
Temple, Texas.
And do you know Taylor Denise Schabusiness?
Yes.
Can you see her
She's
in,
my granddaughter.
what's that?
She's my granddaughter.
Okay. Can you see her here in court?
Yes, I do.
You've known her all of your life, correct?
Yes.
What is her father's name?
My father's name?
No,
He did.
no, Taylor's father. What's his name?
Oh, Arturo Coronado.
Okay. That's your son, correct?
Yes.
When Taylor was growing up as a young girl, did she live with you in Temple, Texas?
No, no. When she was growing up, we were in Illinois. And that's where, I took care of her.
You would take care of her when you lived in Illinois?
Yes.
Did you help care for her after she was born?
Yes.
Did there come a time when you moved to the state of Texas?
Yes. It was in 2004.
2004?
Yes.
And is that when you moved to the Temple, Texas area?
And no, we moved back home. Yeah, that's in Singapore.
Did you ever live in Cotulla, Texas?
Yes.
Okay. Kind of fast forwarding, when your granddaughter, Taylor Schabusiness, got a little older, did there come a point in time where she gave birth to a baby?
Yes.
And what's the baby's name?
Mateo.
And where's Mateo right now?
He's with me.
The child lives with you in Texas?
Yes.
So you're caring for Taylor's child, correct?
Correct.
How old is the child?
He'll be 2 in October 3rd.
Was there a point in time where your granddaughter, Taylor Schabusiness, went into some kind of therapy or counseling or treatment program and got released and then came to live with you before the baby was born?
I believe so.
Okay.
I
And
do not know about what happened in Wisconsin. I only know that she wanted to have the baby with in Texas with me because I was the only family close to her.
okay. And so she had the baby in Texas, correct?
Correct.
Was that in like October of 2021?
Yes.
Okay. And when the baby was born, tell me a little bit about Taylor Schabusiness. Was she interacting with the baby? How did that go? Can you tell me about that?
Yes. Well, she was excited when she found out that about the baby. I know that when she came down, she wanted to be close to somebody, a relative. And so when she had the baby, she was very happy and loved that baby. But it didn't last very long because 24 hours later, CPS came and took the baby away.
When you
So
say CPS, you mean Child Protective Services?
Yes.
Okay, please continue. We're going to say some more.
Yes, I was going to say that after that, well, it was very hard for her. And then they had told her that, well, I was there with her when they came and took the baby away, but they said I couldn't bring him home because she was here at home. But she said she would rather go to a shelter so I could bring the baby home. But that didn't happen. She left from the hospital, went to a shelter, but the baby didn't come home to me until a month later.
Okay, so at the present time, you have the baby with you, correct?
Correct.
And you and your husband Juan are caring for the baby, correct?
Correct.
You sent me some photographs of Taylor Schabusiness, your granddaughter, with the baby after the child was. There's of her rocking the baby, kissing the baby's head, interacting with the baby. Is that fair?
Yes, those pictures of her in the rocker, and that's when they would allow her to go, because he was placed with another family before he came to me, and they would allow her to visit with him with the permission of the court. And the people that were caring for that baby at that time would bring him over, and she would only have a few minutes, an hour maybe with the baby, and that's she would spend with him.
Okay. After the baby was born or prior to the baby being born, did your granddaughter, Taylor, go out and buy clothes for the baby, onesies, outfits, things of that sort?
Yes, she did. She did. We had everything prepared for the baby here at home. And her grandparents, her grandfather and aunt sent her a crib. We had the clothes, everything. We're waiting for the baby after she was released from the hospital. But she did not come home because CPS would not allow it. We couldn't bring the baby home either. He was placed with another couple, and they told her she had to have to live someplace else, so she went to a shelter, and she was there at a shelter. So I would be able to bring the baby home with me.
Okay.
So she never came home with me after the baby was born. From the hospital, the next day, she went to a shelter. But we did not bring the baby home because they had placed him with another family.
Okay,
So we had,
but right now the baby is with you, correct?
it's right now the baby is with me.
And the plan is likely that you're going to have permanent custody or placement of the child with you and your husband, right?
Well, we're adopting him.
Okay.
We're adopting him. Taylor gave up her rights so that I could have a Mateo, because we didn't want him going to anybody else, but to stay in the family.
Sure. Okay. From your observations of Taylor Schabusiness with the baby, did it appear that she was, connected with the baby, or can you give me any feedback on that?
Yes, she was. She loved her baby. She prepared the things for the baby. Because she thought he was going to be coming home. She was setting up things for him, but he never got to come home, and she didn't get to come home either, because right from the hospital, she went to a shelter, and we came home, but we didn't bring the baby with us. He didn't come home to us until about a month later.
Okay. Some other questions for you. Do you have a close connection with Taylor Schabusiness, you and your husband Juan?
Yes,
I think you sent some pictures of you and your husband Juan with Taylor Schabusiness in the middle. Is that right?
correct. Yes,
You both love each other very much. Is that fair?
yes. We went to visit her in Wisconsin. That's where we took the pictures, because she had her own apartment. She was doing well, and we went to see her, and that's when we took the pictures.
Okay. When she was living in Wisconsin, was she working at a cheese factory, Saputo Cheese? You remember?
Yes.
TV, great question. Wow, she has a toddler. Hope that they do right by the child. I pray to God too, because I read somewhere, and I don't know how true it is. I can't find it, whatever. But it was something about with her story saying that she was taken advantage of as a child, if you know what I'm talking about. And I think it might have been her father who did it. And we're going to see the father on the stand, because he was on the stand before. He might be here, for the impact statement. But I think it was the father or whatever, but it was definitely some sort of man when she was a little girl, brutally, several times. You see, this is the point that I be making, ladies and gentlemen. When kids go through, babies, childs, they go through all this abuse, parents beating on their kids, women bringing in these losing men around their kids, abusing them, or the man meeting some trifling woman and she treating the kids like crap while he's not around. And these kids grow up, two things usually happen. They grow up getting abused, letting people abuse them because they was abused as a child, or they'll grow up and they'll turn around and abuse people the same way it happened to them. Or you might have one that just grow up and they want to stop all abuse. They be an advocate for it. I don't know. But it has an effect on the children. All right, let's get back to it. Yeah, that is horrible, isn't it? What Purple says, oh wow, I didn't know that part. Yeah, I don't know exactly, so I don't want nobody to quote me on it, but I did hear about that child, because like I said, when I be doing these crime stories and I hear this crazy, I want to find out about their childhood, the psychological review, what happened, and I do feel, this is my opinion, I feel some people are just born evil. You can have phenomenal, great parents that's loving, that's caring and supportive and there for their child, but their child is just born evil. They like to steal, they like to curse, they violent, they manipulative, every kind of stuff. And the parents, and parents like that have children like that, don't fault yourself. You didn't do nothing wrong. Your child is just evil. Nothing you can do. But the best advice I can give you is let them go, because they're going to only bring you down. Or if they really crazy and violent, they might kill you. There's plenty of people out here that go out here and kill their parents, especially if they're going to get some insurance money. Resume.
She was working there. She was doing good. So after that, I don't know. We communicated back and forth. She would call every week, and then later on, I didn't hear from her for a while until she told me, that about the baby, and she wanted to come and be with me so she could have the baby. And I told her that would be fine. So she came down to Temple.
Okay. She graduated from high school in Texas, correct?
Correct.
And that was at Cotulla High School?
Yes.
And I looked at some reports and records that she may have graduated in 2016. Is that about accurate?
I think so. I don't remember, but it probably is correct.
And when she was attending Cotulla High School, did she live with you in Texas?
Yes, she did.
Okay. How long did she live with you before she graduated from high school in Texas?
Oh, maybe about a year and a half.
And during the time that she lived with you for a year and a half prior to her graduation, did you note any problems with drug use or other issues?
Okay,
No.
Amber.
No, I didn't notice any of that.
Okay. And when she lived with you in Texas, was she involved in any kind of sports or activities at all, like soccer or swimming or anything like that?
No, because it was almost her last year. So what she did was she just worked. She got several jobs there, just working maybe like a Dairy Queen. It's a small town. There's not that much work there. So she would work at different places.
Okay. Do you know if she was on any kind of medication at all when she lived with you in Texas before she graduated high school?
I believe so, but I really don't know what kind of medication she was on.
You talked to some probation agents or professional people from the Wisconsin Department of Corrections when the pre-sentence report was prepared, correct? You were interviewed?
Now?
Yeah.
Or
When this report was done, did you get interviewed by someone from the Department of Corrections?
If you have an hour this week, you can learn 100 songs on the piano by learning just 4 chords. These. Check it out.
And can you feel the love tonight?
Same chords.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me. Sometimes I feel like I don't have a partner.
Exact same.
No.
Okay.
I got interviewed by
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
by 3 persons that said they will work with you, but I don't know if that was true or not. I don't. But I was interviewed by 3 someone that said they worked for you.
Okay. Your son is Arturo Coronado, and when he got divorced, did that have an impact on your granddaughter Taylor?
Well, when he got divorced, my granddaughter has been on her own for a while.
Okay. When Taylor's mother passed away in 2009, did that have an impact on Taylor?
Yes, it did, because she had just lost her mother, and a year later, her father remarried, and the person he married had children of her own. So she was kind of I would say, didn't feel, well, she felt like she lost her mother, and now she was losing her dad because there were other kids involved in there.
Your son got married to a lady named Katie after Marla passed away, correct?
Katie?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And did Taylor ever talk to you about the fact that she didn't get along with her stepmom?
Taylor always kept everything to herself. She never said things about people. I know that she didn't feel comfortable. She felt like it was too soon after her mother passed away and her father remarried, and she felt like abandoned. And then here she was in a home where there was 3 children, but one of them I know that lives with the father, but 2 of them were living there, and her and her brother lived in the basement, and so she just from a nice home that she had, then she ended up living in the basement. But like I said, she never complained to me or said anything. But I went to visit them, and I could see that she felt misplaced, but now other siblings.
Okay. You're aware of the criminal charges and the convictions that resulted after the trial in this case, correct?
Yes, I think so. I don't know too much about it, but yes, I know that they found her guilty and they want her to spend her life in jail. And I think that she has gone through a lot in her short time of being here. She has gone through a lot. There's a lot of things that she has to losing her mother, her father remarried, then her find herself pregnant, and losing her son, and then losing her brother. So that's a lot for a young person to take in.
And ma'am, your granddaughter Taylor Denise Schabusiness, she's, we agree, 25 years old.
Yes,
She had a brother, Arturo J. Coronado, AJ Coronado, correct?
correct.
And is it your understanding that he passed away or he died in a motorcycle accident on or about July 1st of 2022?
Correct. That's right.
Did your granddaughter Taylor talk to you about that after it happened?
No, wait. I know she was very heartbroken, but she was there in Wisconsin. She had lost her baby. She was knocked out, and her brother, and that was very hard for her.
Okay. You sent me some pictures of Taylor with her brother AJ, correct?
Yes,
There's a picture of the two of them together with AJ having his hat on backwards. They appear to be happy. Is that fair?
yes, that's correct.
There was another picture where AJ, Taylor, and your son Arturo were all together as well, correct?
Correct.
Did they all get together with you in Illinois, or was that in Texas? Those pictures, where were they from? Were they from Texas, or?
No, those were pictures when they lived there in Wisconsin.
Okay.
The ones that the ones with the baby were here in Texas, but the ones with her brother and her father, that's when they were living there in Wisconsin.
Are you a close-knit family, or have you been a close-knit family in the past?
Yes, we've always been very close. I took care of Taylor when she was born, but then we left for Texas, and so when I left her, she was, I would say, maybe about 7 years old or 8 years old, and I would try and see him at least once a year. But then, as the years passed, we weren't able to travel that much, so I hadn't seen her for a while.
Do you know if your daughter visited other family members in Ohio with in the past with AJ?
I believe so. When they were young, their mother used to drive to Ohio and take them, but I do not know if later on, as they got older, if they did or not.
Do you know if Marla Coronado would take the kids, AJ and Taylor, to Ohio to visit cousins or aunts?
Yes, she did.
Okay.
She would take them, to visit her dad and her brother and sister in Ohio.
Your granddaughter Taylor, is she close with your husband Juan, with Grandpa?
Yes, she is. She's very close with her grandfather.
When Taylor was living with you in Illinois and then later on in Texas when she was going to high school, like Petula High School, did she listen to you and follow the rules and all of that?
She did listen to me and follow some rules, but sometimes she wouldn't.
TB, we're not sitting here condoning it. And sometimes some people will jump at us, and I've got comments like that. Oh, would you have sympathy for these people? No, I don't. And I'm not saying what they did was right, but we just have to understand the root of it. Where did it come from? How we can learn from this, so we don't do this kind of stuff to our children. They grow up to become monsters. But you have some parents that have children, and they want them to be a monster just like them. They don't care. They out there, their whole goal is to destroy their future before it even happens. And they do this to their children. It's a lot of parents out here. Not every parent that has a kid, mother or father, that's loving and supportive and is there for their children. They like, look, I didn't even want you. I don't want to be bothered with you. You have some women say, you look like your stupid ass father. Excuse my language. Get out my face. Oh, you have fathers to tell their daughter, you're going to grow up be a whore like your mother. And this stuff affects the children. I'm just bringing up scenarios. So it's not giving support, but we just have to understand where did it come from? But then I said, there's some cases. Some kids are just born pure evil. Yeah, that's just the case. I've seen plenty of stories. I'm like, are you kidding me? That little? What about that kid that sat there and shot the teacher? What about that kid that sat there and shot his mother? I'm going to do the commentary on these kids. You have some bad seeds out here, ladies and gentlemen. Bad seeds. This story is so sad. Yeah, it is sad. And it's so horrific what she did to this boy. But see, there's another thing I have to say about this. Doing drugs, ladies and gentlemen. People start getting high. They start getting foolish. What she did to that man in that basement. Lord have mercy. And the mother discovered. Ivella, the mother discovered the head. Yeah, she discovered it. All right, let's get back to it.
She wouldn't, she wanted to do something, but like I said, she wanted to go stay at my friend's house, but I would say, no, Dad, let him come and stay here with you. So she did bring a friend of hers to stay overnight by us. Like I said, Taylor only lived with me there in Texas for maybe about 1.5 years until she graduated from high school. Then she wanted to get back to Green Bay.
Okay. Fair to say that you've always had a close relationship with Taylor, both you and your husband?
Yes, we have. Yes.
You heard about and found out about her involvement with drugs, correct?
Yes, I did. I found out later on because she used to call me, and then for a while she didn't get, she wasn't calling it anymore. But I try and always try to keep in touch with her. But then afterwards, I found out that she was pregnant, and she asked if she could come down and have the baby over here by me, and I said that would be fine. Because she didn't have anybody else that she could turn to over there, so she wanted to be by me. So I told her to go ahead and come down.
Okay. Now, she's been found guilty by a jury of first-degree intentional homicide, felony, mutilation of a corpse, and third-degree sexual assault, all felony offenses, all as repeaters. For the first-degree intentional homicide conviction, the Wisconsin law is such that the sentence is life imprisonment. And the issue really is whether she should be given the opportunity for extended supervision or possibility of parole or not. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you have any input on that issue?
Well, I do. I believe that she has gone, in her short life, she has gone through a lot. And like I said, first losing her mother at the age of 12. Then a year later, her father remarried. And there she felt misplaced there too. Then she went on her own and was doing well. And then all of a sudden, everything started falling apart for her. I don't know what happened in between because we weren't communicating then. But then after she found out that she was pregnant, she wanted to come and be with me. But she wanted to have at least a relative of hers close by. And we were always very close since I took care of her when she was born until I left Illinois in 2004.
Would you agree that your granddaughter, Taylor Schabusiness, needs some drug treatment, some counseling, all of that?
I do believe that she does need some counseling and some help. She needs help.
Do you believe that she has good qualities?
Yes.
What are they?
I believe. She's a very caring person and also very trusting. She trusted people that said they care for her, and actually always she was. What can I say that? She always ended up getting hurt because she trusted people, thinking they cared, but she's always have had the problem that wherever she goes, people just use her and she thinks they care, but they don't. They have disappointed her.
Do you believe that your granddaughter, Taylor Schabusiness, should be given the chance to possibly be on parole or extended supervision sometime in the future?
I do believe. I know that she committed a crime, and I know that they want her to pay.
I'm not trying to be funny, but did you see Taylor Schabusiness shake her head like, no, don't let me out. Don't let me out. No, I don't think she should ever come out, but I think that You know, certain people are supposed to be placed in certain areas. She don't need to be in no prison with these other ones. She need to be in a mental facility. But she's not going to go there. And there's something about this judge. It's like he's a judge who already decide how he feels about you before he even hears the evidence. Oh, well. It is what it is. Our purpose says, encounters parents, I hope I might pronounce it wrong. Parents and grandparents would say, be careful with who you have children with. Parents would want to know about their family tree. Exactly. When you're younger, you may think it's silly, but it's not. Oh, okay. You meant in culture. Oh, culture families. Yes. Thank you for sharing that one. Yeah, you need to know about all this stuff too. I have a girlfriend, and we close, and she's, she love her husband dearly, and I can understand, she's older than me and stuff, and they've been, married for a long time. I can understand why they never had no children, but I just never really, asked, because maybe she can't, I don't want to put nobody in the spot. They don't want to discuss it. But come to find out, she said because so much mental illness in her husband's family, she didn't want to have any children with him. And he agreed too. They were scared that it was going to, the child was going to inherit it. Wow. Something to think about. Let's get better. Okay. I got you, Perp. I got you. All right, let's get back to it. Everybody make sure you hit the like. We just watching clips of this day. But right now, we're listening to the grandmother on the father's side. Let's get it.
Pay for it, but I believe that she should have the opportunity to come back to society one time and be with her son.
Okay, thank you very much. No further questions from me.
Any questions, Mr. Saunders?
No, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Were you intending that she was going to stay on the Zoom, or you can certainly disconnect now if you want, ma'am, or you can remain on. But having said that, Mr. Freilich, you have another witness.
Yes, I do, Your Honor. It's totally up to the court, but if in my opinion, if she wants to stand, I would ask the court to consider allowing her to do that.
I think I just told her that.
Okay.
So she can stay on if she wants.
Okay, thank you. Next, then, I would call Valerie Armour.
It is the Air Slim Bone Sculpt High Waist Short. Now, this is my natural.
You have to get the microphone on.
Oh, sorry. Is it on? My name's Valerie Armour. It's spelled V-A-L-E-R-I-E. Armour spelled A-R-M-O-R.
Okay, the witness is yours, Mr. Freilich.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. You are Valerie Armour,
Yes, I am.
and where do you live?
I live in Dublin, Ohio.
Are you married?
Yes, I'm married.
What's your husband's name?
Brian Armour.
Do you have kids?
Yes, I do. I have four children.
Are you employed, ma'am?
Yes, I am.
Where do you work at?
I work at Sun Behavioral Health. I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner.
And what do you do there?
I work inpatient psychiatry with adolescents and adults.
How long have you worked there?
I've worked there for 5 years.
And tell me your educational background, just briefly.
I have 2 degrees from The Ohio State University. My first degree was a Bachelor's of Nursing in 1996, and my second degree was Master's of Science, Nurse Practitioner in Psychiatry in 2016.
Do you know Taylor Denise Schabusiness?
Yes, I do.
Do you see her in court today?
Yes, I do.
She's seated to my left.
Yes, she is.
And are you related to her?
Yes, I am.
Can you tell the court how you're related?
So her mother is my first cousin, Marla is my first cousin, and Taylor's my second cousin.
Are you also here with your mother?
Yes, I am.
What's her name?
Roberta Connor.
And does she live in Ohio as well?
Yes, she does.
You came here together?
Yes, we did.
And what's the relationship with Roberta and Taylor?
Roberta is Taylor's great aunt. She is the older sister of Taylor's grandfather.
When Taylor was growing up, would you see her periodically in Ohio? Would she come to visit in Ohio?
Yes, she would.
Tell me a little bit about that.
One of the couple visits that I remember in particular, one was in the summer of 2001 when we were going through my grandfather's house. He had passed away in May 2001, and we gathered as a family to get together and go through belongings. Taylor was 3 at that time, and AJ was a baby.
And was there a picture of Taylor when she was 3 in a, like maybe a little skirt with a red top and tights?
Yes.
And was she standing by you?
Yes, she was.
And who else was in that picture, do you remember?
Marla was standing next to me on the left, and then my cousin was standing next to Marla.
Okay, and where was that picture taken?
That was taken in Grove City, Ohio, at my grandfather's house.
Okay. So, have you had a connection with Taylor Schabusiness over the years?
Yes, I have.
Did she come to visit you on other occasions?
Yeah, she came down for a family reunion in 2013 that we had when she was 15.
That was with your daughter?
Yes,
Was that the picture that you gave me of you in the middle, your daughter on one side, and Taylor Schabusiness on the other side?
yes, it is.
And where was that
That
picture
was
taken?
taken at a park, I think on the east side of Columbus where we had the family reunion.
Inside a pavilion?
Yes, inside a pavilion.
And describe Taylor at that time in 2013 from what you recall.
She appeared to be a happy 15-year-old girl. She had a great sense.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the guy that she took his head off, his wood stick, and a couple other body parts out too. All in the basement while his mother was upstairs and her living boyfriend. Wow. Wow.
Humor like her mother. She appeared to be well adjusted at that time. I enjoyed visiting with her and asking her how her life was going. And I'd always told her I'd be available to her after her mother passed away.
Did you know about the losses that she suffered in her life? The loss of her mother, Marla, in 2009, and the loss of her brother, AJ, in July of 22?
Yes, I did. I grew up with her mother. We were very close as children. We spent holidays, summer vacations, and weekends together at my grandparents' house in Grove City, because when I was a child, I'd moved to the East Coast. But we spent, weeks together in the summer planning our future lives, playing with Barbies. We were very close as children.
Did you talk to Taylor about her feelings and how the loss of her mother affected her?
I did. I remember at Marla's funeral afterwards telling her I would always be available to her if she wanted to know more about her mother. I certainly would be available to tell her what she was like as a child, and I would be available for her the rest of her life if she needed anything. I lived in a different state, but I've always made myself available to her.
I think
No, TB. I believe it's the father of her baby. He's in jail. They had got married a few years ago. Or maybe about less than 2 years before she committed the crime. Or something like that. But they wasn't together because he's in jail. I don't know exactly what he's in jail for. It might be with drugs or whatever. But when the father was on the stand, he was upset talking about, when she met this piece of crap, he put her on drugs. But my thing is, when the father was on the stand, if I'm correct, wasn't you doing some naughty stuff to your daughter? So who are you to talk? Maybe this is why she bumped up with this loser, because he got a loser dad. Because the dad is in jail now for I believe with an underage, if you know what I'm talking about. So who are you to talk about her husband? Look, a girl's first impression of a man is the father. It's the father. So the father ain't crap. She's gonna turn around here and date nothing but crap. So who are you to judge? I'm just saying. Let's get back to it. All right. Oh, okay. Yeah, purple answer. No, that's not him. And hanging with Mr. J. And blessings. Good to see you and good afternoon. Let's get back to it.
you gave me a picture of, tell me if you did, of Taylor and her brother AJ when they were younger, maybe with that.
Yeah, that was after her mother's funeral. We were at my cousin's house in Hilliard, Ohio for the family gathering. We had both sides of the family there. Art's family was there and my family was there.
Would you agree that Taylor always had a supportive family, either in Ohio or Texas or Wisconsin?
Absolutely.
And from the contacts that you had with her growing up, did she appear to be a happy young lady, happy child?
She did at that time.
You came to find out about the charges and the trial and the convictions, correct?
Yes.
You're aware of what she's been found guilty of, correct?
Yes, I am.
And you're aware of the maximum possible penalties and all of that, correct?
Yes.
At least as to the first-degree intentional homicide charge, the statute indicates life imprisonment with either the possibility of extended supervision or parole or not. You understand that?
Yes, I do understand that.
Do you have any comments for the court to consider on that particular issue?
I do. I have some comments about that.
Okay, go ahead.
So Taylor, she comes from a loving family. I know her to be loving. I know her to have empathy. She's capable of love. I believe she has suffered immense trauma in her young life, first with losing her mother in 2009. Anytime somebody loses their mother at any age, it's a great trauma and a tragedy. So she grew up.
All right, the cousin says she has empathy and remorse or something like that. I'm sorry. What she went through her childhood and all those drugs, that went out the window. Nope. I don't think she do. I think that she was a situation, even like her, the psychologist said when they evaluated her and said she was someone that was going, when she was having problems and she needed help, she was going through the system and everything, but somewhere she was failed. And this happens a lot. When people go through the system, they fail. They're not taken care of properly. So this is what's going to happen in the future. I think she was, one of the people who slipped through the cracks. Maybe they could have helped her. Would have got to her earlier. More treatments and stuff. That's why I say sometimes when you have a child that's a problem, if you can kind of get to it early, you might be able to nip it up, nip in the butt. But if not, you're going to have something like this. And you're so welcome, TB. Resume.
Grew up without her mother, and then from what I've heard, living with her stepmother and her father, I had always heard that they had slept in the basement. So
Who slept in the basement?
that Taylor and AJ had slept in the basement when her father remarried. We had always heard that in the family. In 2019, we suffered more losses in the family. Taylor lost her grandmother in May, and then in September of 2019, we lost a cousin who was 27 to a motor vehicle accident. That would have been Taylor's first cousin. At that time, at that funeral, when I spoke with her father and AJ, she was doing well. She was working at the cheese factory. Her father, Art, was very proud of her at that time because she was doing well. And then I had lost touch with her during the pandemic and found out about what had happened when we found out AJ passed away July 1st, 2022. That's when all this came out. So she lost her brother to a motorcycle accident. So our whole family has experienced a lot of loss, and Taylor has experienced a great amount of loss. I'm a mental health professional. She has a trauma history, and I believe she has mental health issues. I'm hoping as she goes forward, she can get the help she needs, and with some deep introspection, be able to work on her issues. And I'm here to be as much as I can with her on her next journey of life, as much as I can.
Do you have any comments on whether she should be considered for the possibility of parole or extended supervision?
I would like her to be considered for parole. I would like her to get a chance later in life to get to know her son. I think that would be very important to her, to be able to spend some time with him in person as she gets older, and other family members who are still around. Definitely.
Do you agree that Taylor needs drug and alcohol treatment?
Absolutely.
Do you agree that she needs mental health counseling?
Absolutely. And she needs to deal with her extensive trauma history.
Do you believe that she may need medication management?
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
Is she a lost cause?
She's not a lost cause.
Is she a monster?
No, she's not a monster.
She needs to be punished, correct?
She does need to be punished for what happened, and my family, we regret what happened, and we apologize to Shad's family for what has happened.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any cross-examination from the state?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, man. You can step down.
I'd like to call Arturo Coronado next,
Okay.
please.
That's fine. Okay.
Mary, blessings and good afternoon. Doesn't it look like a Hannibal Lecter? It does.
Video off, Mr. Saunders. There is still video running, however, for the grandmother, so you can't see her, but she still has the ability to look in, okay?
Okay, Your Honor.
I don't think she's never coming out. She's never coming out.
Attention retirees, if you're willing
Okay, ladies, I'm gonna skip something. We're not gonna see watch this whole. Oh, Daddy coming out. No, let me not skip. The father's coming out. Here come Dad. Dad is coming out. I'm gonna do some research and find out exactly what he's in jail for. But it's a what do you call it? Essay. Am I correct? With a minor. And then he gonna try act like he a stand-up dad. Mary, it is. I think it was Amber or someone said up there it's probably because she be spitting, and that makes more sense. You know she's already out of control. She attacked her lawyer. That's the only only person you got. You don't attack your lawyer. Something wrong with her. All right, come on out, Dad. I don't want to fast forward too much and miss it. Her family. And of course, the system failed her. Broken system. There go Dad. There go the pops. Low life, piece of crap. And you got the nerve to talk about her baby father? She learned it from you. Don't he look just like his mother? Look at him. He look just like his mama, right?
Okay.
A-R-T, C-O-R-O-N-A-D-O.
Mr. Freilich, the witness is yours.
Thank you very much. Mr. Coronado, good morning. Your daughter is Taylor Denise Schabusiness, correct?
Correct.
And when she was born, she was born in Evanston, Illinois.
Yes.
And she lived with you and your late wife, Marla, there for several years, till when, age 12 or so?
So 2009, yeah.
Okay. And then your late wife, she passed away. Did that take a toll on your daughter?
Of course.
Can you tell me how that impacted your daughter from...
Excuse me for the background noise here. I hope nobody's hurt bad. Lord have mercy. Purple, you got me cracking up. She could have been part of the Charles Manson family. She would have been perfect. Charles Manson would have loved her, wouldn't he? He would have loved her. You know, she looked up to Jeffrey Dahmer. That was her boy. She was in love with Jeffrey Dahmer. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. All right, we're finding out why. Resume.
You know, from what you saw, what you observed?
Just, she was young. I mean, she lost her mother, you know, and it's just hard to explain, but yeah, things aren't the same.
It was a traumatic event for her, is that fair?
Of course, sure.
And then at some point, the family moved from Evanston, Illinois to Green Bay in 2008, is that right?
Correct.
And you came to Green Bay because of a job, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then you lived here for a while in Green Bay, correct?
Yes.
She went to Bayport High School, correct?
Correct.
She went to Bayview Middle School, correct?
Howard Tomical School District.
Yes. And then at some point, there were some issues at the Bayport High School, and she went to Cotulla, Texas, correct?
Graduate, yeah.
Yeah. And she lived with your parents, Esther and Juan Coronado, in Temple, Texas, is that right?
Correct.
And she graduated?
Yes.
And was that about 2016 or so?
I believe so, yeah.
You know, when you lived with her, was school a struggle for her, or was she able to do the work?
From time to time, I mean, she did okay. She had some issues, you know, nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay. I'm just going to see if you could just move the microphone a little closer or move a little closer, because I can't hear you. Sorry.
Well said, TB. The main culprit on the stand for his daughter's unfortunate life. Bingo. I'm about sure I heard it was the father. I'm about sure it was with him. But they not going to bring it up, you know, because he's on the stand. He's, you know, on the stand trying to, like, he's such a stand-up dad. He did everything for his daughter. I couldn't believe when he sat there and blamed this guy that she's with, this loser. She followed it from you. You was the first male role model in her life. So sad. A lot of women date, you know, guys that's like their father. And a lot of men date women that's like their mother. It is what it is. Let's get back here what he have to say. But yeah, you see it too. What Purple said, you see it too. He does look just like the mother, right? Splitting image. Ooh, Lord. All right, let's get back to it.
Would you help with homework and things like that?
Sure.
When you got remarried, did that take a toll on your daughter, Taylor?
I would think so, yeah.
Did you try to help in that regard to kind of bridge the gap?
Yep.
Okay. When she was living in Green Bay as a child, did you get her involved in any sports or activities?
Before I moved up, she was in soccer. She did band for a little bit.
Okay. Swimming?
No.
Okay. With regards to soccer, was she good at soccer?
Yeah.
She liked it?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Did you do some coaching?
I did.
Was that over at the Asco Noble Field, or where was that?
No, this is in Illinois, actually.
Okay. Did she play soccer in Illinois and Wisconsin?
No, I think she may have tried out, but she didn't follow through with it, so.
Okay.
She did a little volleyball as well.
Okay. So she was involved in activities, correct?
Sure.
What about art or drawing or things like that? Was she good at that?
Yes.
Can you tell?
She's pretty good. She's a very good artist. She can draw quite well.
Okay. Were you impressed by some of the pictures and things that she drew?
Definitely.
Does she have some artistic talents?
She does.
She have a creative side?
Yes.
When she was younger, would she help people? Someone needed help? Would she help?
Yes, she would.
And I think in the pre-sentence report on page 17 of 38, you talked with a probation agent, and you indicated he stated, this is you, he stated she was a good person, kind-hearted, and helped others out. Is that what you said?
Always, yeah.
Okay. Now,
Always went out of her way to help.
okay. When she got a little older, after school, did she have a job here?
She did.
Where?
Big Beef City.
Okay.
Her first job.
Okay, what did she do there?
She worked a cashier, and she did a little bit of cooking in the back.
Okay. Did she also get a job at Saputo Cheese Factory?
That was later on, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did she do over there?
She was an operator. She worked there at shift.
Okay.
She worked there about 3.5 years. She did really well.
Made decent money, correct?
Yeah.
She liked the job?
Yep.
And when she was working at Saputo Cheese Factory, was she living with you here in Green Bay?
No.
Okay. She had her own apartment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, she lived with us for a little bit, but yeah, then she moved out with a friend.
Okay. Would you keep in touch with her?
Of course.
Your relationship with her, is it good?
Definitely. Yeah.
I received some pictures. There were all kinds of pictures that you would take together as a family, correct? Yes.
As much as we could, yeah.
When she was living with your parents, Esther and Juan, in Texas, Temple, Texas, you take family photos there, correct?
Yes.
And when AJ was still alive, you take family photos with him, correct?
Of course.
Was AJ pretty close with Taylor?
Yes.
He liked to ride motorcycles?
He just started to.
And would he let Taylor ride the motorcycle as well? No. But those two were how far apart in age?
About 2 years.
2 years?
2 years, yeah. They're very close.
Okay. They'd get together with extended family in Ohio, correct?
When we could, yeah. Mostly when they were younger.
Okay. And they'd certainly get together with your parents in Texas, correct?
Yes.
And so does Taylor have a strong family support network in the state of Texas and or Ohio?
Sure, everybody loves Taylor.
Think she's a monster?
No.
You understand what she was found guilty of by the jury, correct?
I do.
First degree, intentional homicide, mutilation of a corpse, third degree, sexual assault, all felonies, all repeaters. You understand that, correct?
I do.
You understand the penalties, correct?
Yeah.
And for the homicide conviction, it's life imprisonment, but the issue is whether she gets the possibility of extended supervision or not, possibility of parole or not. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you have any comments for the court on behalf of your daughter?
Sure, I don't think she needs a life imprisonment. I mean, the mistakes were made, her not being in the right state of mind when it happened, has a lot to do with it.
I agree with him. What she went through in her state of mind, she doesn't belong in prison. She needs to be one of those facilities. You don't need to drug her up and help her because she don't need to be with these other criminals. I mean, think about it. Should she be in a cell with a person that, they robbed a couple of liquor stores or taking cars or stuff like that? But does she need to be in a cell with them? No, she need to be locked up with these nuts. But I think people get it mixed up like they're going to get out. There's no way this woman is going to get out after what she did to this man's body. It's just not happening. And 603 says, and good afternoon. Daddy looks doesn't he have that look? Very arrogant. Like you can't tell him nothing. He just thinks he knows everything. Especially if he gets a little liquor in his system. Oh my gosh, you can't tell him nothing. Yep, he got that look. And whoever's coming in, blessings, glad to have you. Make sure you hit that like and feel free to engage. If not, you can sit back and listen. Whatever's comfortable for you. The guy with the blue jacket seated behind Cray Cray looks similar to her victim. Oh, shoot. Let me look at that. Let me look at that purple. Let me check that out. Resume.
Her whole life, she was a good kid. Drugs mess people up. That's what happened, but I don't think that she deserves life.
You think she should be?
She has a child, and it'd be nice for her to be able to see her child.
You agree she's got to be punished, correct?
Well, yeah. Yes.
Okay. But is it your testimony that you believe she should be given a chance at the possibility of parole sometime in the future?
Most definitely, yes.
Or extended supervision, that's what they call it? Yes?
Yes.
You knew that your daughter Taylor got involved with Warren Szabo, correct?
Yes.
And he was the one that introduced her to drugs, correct?
Correct.
Meth specifically, correct?
Correct.
Intravenous drug use, correct?
She was like night and day. She completely changed. She's a different person.
You believe your daughter got addicted to the methamphetamine or other drugs?
Yes.
Do you believe that she should get some treatment, counseling?
She should have been getting treatment this whole time. I don't know why she hasn't.
With regards to
Now, if he did these horrific things to her, let's say allegedly, I could be completely wrong. I don't think so, but I could be completely wrong. This is what I say about with these narcissists, sociopaths, these toxic behavior people. They always want to shift the blame on somebody else. So he wants to put the blame on her husband that's in jail, her baby father. Put the blame on him. He introduced her to the drugs. Like he didn't do nothing. He was just a stand-up great dad, right? And we're supposed to believe this while you sitting there in an orange suit for an essay assault. And if I'm correct, for a minor. You know, people just kill me how they like to shift the blame on other people. All right, TB says he looks like a cringy man not to have around children, allegedly. Don't he have that look? He sure does. Yep, go ahead, shift the blame on everybody else because you didn't do nothing, right? You didn't do anything. All right, a girl high on meth broke through 3 panes of glass, gosh, in a miniskirt because she said that she left her purse in the house. Weirdest night of my life. Mary, you gotta be kidding me. Please tell me you kidding me. God, so meth be having people like that? I'm not messing with it. You know what my high is? It's going to the gym, having a good workout. That's just like the craziest high. The endorphins kick in. You feel good, right? Be like walking on air. That's my high. Resume.
To your daughter, she has mental health problems, is that correct?
Correct.
She's been to Purveya Health and got treatment there, correct?
Correct.
She's received treatment through Bellin's Psychiatric Center in the past, is that fair?
Yep.
She was under a,
So, yep.
she was found mentally ill in the past by a court of law here in the state of Wisconsin?
Yes.
You were involved in that process, weren't you?
That was.
Trying to get your help for your daughter, correct?
Yep.
Lots of different medications were tried, correct?
That is correct. Yeah. Some that, like she was just a guinea pig for some of that medication that just did not work and probably too strong. I don't not qualified, I guess, to say that, but it just did not work for her.
Sure. And Mr. Coronado, when she was staying at the Nicolay Psychiatric Center, was it your understanding that she was getting injectable antipsychotic medication during that short period of time that she was there?
I believe so.
And then she was released and then the medication stopped, correct?
Correct.
Fair to say that your daughter had been receiving mental health treatment or counseling for quite a long time since her younger years?
That's fair. Yep.
That it would start, then it would stop. There was no consistency. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Do you feel that she fell through the cracks with regards to mental health treatment and all that other kind of treatment?
Definitely.
You talked to the people from the Department of Corrections, Rebecca Chavez, correct?
I believe that was her name. Wasn't sure.
Did you, when you found out that Taylor, your daughter, was involved with Warren Szabo, did you talk to her about the relationship, or did your daughter come to you and talk about the relationship, whether there were problems or it was good? Can you tell me about that?
No, they mostly kept to themselves. I knew she was seeing him, but they mostly kept to themselves. So she was working there, and then she quit her job and just hung out with him. So during that time when he was out of jail, we didn't really communicate too much.
Was Mr. Szabo abusive to your daughter?
I believe it was, yeah.
When your daughter was living with you, did she ever come to tell you that she was having hallucinations, visual or auditory hallucinations? She was seeing things, hearing things, anything like that?
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that, when that happened and what she told you?
Just that she would see shadows, from time to time.
And she'd hear things?
I believe so, yep.
What did you
He
do?
would come and go. Well, just talk to her, calm her down, walked around until we were able to get her some help, or try to get her some help through Purveya.
You agree that over time, the field of medicine, the field of psychiatry, the field of psychology improves every year. You agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, if she was taking the medicine, you know, or if it was around, but I don't think the medicine really quite worked for her. You know, she'd be drowsy, would take a different effect on her.
Make her a zombie?
She didn't feel, definitely, yes.
What else were you going to say?
Just, she wouldn't feel right, her stomach would hurt, you know, and just a lot of issues with the prescribed medicine.
Would you agree that your daughter has redeeming qualities to her? Can you tell me what they are?
She's, I don't know, it's sad for me to sit up here, you know, knowing what happened and stuff, and knowing my daughter the way, you know, she was, the way she, you know, she still can be. It's just night and day. She was always a loving, caring person. You know, she liked to have fun. She liked to joke around a lot. You know, she's not the monster that, you know, she's being made out to be. That's for sure.
Do you agree your daughter's got to be punished?
I'm sorry?
Do you agree that your daughter has to be punished?
Has to be punished?
Yes.
I'm sure that's
Are you saying you want the court to give her a chance to get back into society in the future at some point?
definitely, yes, yes. She need help, mental help, for sure.
And
Is she going to get that help? You know, from whatever happens, you know, moving forward? I don't know, but she definitely needs help.
and is she able to love?
Yes.
Is she able to form relationships?
Mary, please tell me you're making this up. Come on, come on. You gotta be making this up. She came back the next day and said that she found her purse in the trunk of her car. God, dog. Yeah, exactly, Purple. In a mini skirt. This is insane. All right, 603 said, whoever would be her cellmate would never be safe. Exactly. This is what I'm trying to say. She needs to be in one of those nut houses with the room and the, what do you call it, that suit, you know, drugged up. She don't need to be in no cell. I'm sorry, no. Remember, yes, Berg, totally unladylike. This is insane. What else Mary says? She is very angry. Her breathing is heavier. Wow. All right, Purple says he told her to walk around when she's hearing voices. Is that what he said? I missed it, but probably did. If your child's hearing voices, that's red flag. Immediately go to the emergency room. Nobody's supposed to be hearing voices like that. This is insane. Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you. Yes, everybody participate in the poll. I have a question up there. Yes. Read the poll. All right. Donna, but first, Donna, she tried to throw a plug through the window. Yes, I said a pug as in a dog. What? I can't. This is insane. In an asylum for the criminally insane. That's where she belongs. She don't need to be in no regular prison. Yep. And pumped up on, Thoracine? I might be saying it wrong. Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Mary. That's insane. Wow.
With family members?
Definitely.
Friends?
Yep.
When she lived with you, did she have friends over sometimes or bring people over?
All the time, yeah. She had many friends.
And did she like to go to Ohio to visit extended family over there?
Whenever we would go, yeah. Mostly when they were younger.
Your daughter, do you think she's a lost cause or not?
No.
Think she could be fixed?
Yes, for sure. Definitely.
Gonna take some time though, right?
Yeah. With the right help, of course.
Nothing further from me. Thank you.
Cross-examination from the state?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. You can step down.
Great point, Mary. Ladies and gentlemen, just leave those drugs alone. Teacher, kids, grandchildren, nieces and nephews.
I'll Dr. James O'Donnell.
Oh, we got a doctor coming on the stand. Let's see what the doctor got to say. Come on, doctor. Come on up there.
The truth of the matter now before the court, so help you God.
I do.
Please have a seat and start.
James O'Donnell, James, O'Donnell.
Okay, then, Mr. Freeland, the witness is yours.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Dr. O'Donnell, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Can you tell us briefly about your education?
Yes, I have a bachelor's degree of pharmacy from the University of Illinois, a doctor of pharmacy from the University of Michigan, and a master's degree in nutrition from Rush University.
Previously, you testified at a motion hearing, correct?
Yes, sir.
And your curriculum vitae or your resume was previously filed with the court, correct?
Yes.
What professional experiences have you had?
I spent 5 years as a clinical pharmacist at the Cook County Hospital, responsible for developing pharmacy services and consulting with physicians, nurses, and patients on drug therapy. I spent 12 years at the Presbyterian St. Luke's Hospital with similar duties. During that tenure, I switched from clinical pharmacy to clinical pharmacology, research, and practice. During that time, I was appointed to the faculty of the Rush Medical College in the Department of Pharmacology, first as an instructor and then promoted to assistant professor, and currently I'm an associate professor at the Rush Medical College. I ended my hospital work at Rush, Presbyterian St. Luke's, gone through a couple name changes, in the late 80s. Since then, I've stayed on faculty and had extensive faculty experiences, but also at that time, I expanded my work in consulting first with pharmaceutical companies, some government agencies. That pretty much switched to forensic matters and civil lawsuits and criminal matters in courts for various criminal events. Along the road, I've published 350 or so articles, including several dozen book chapters, all of which address, not all, but most of which address the adverse effects of drugs, but primarily therapeutic, but also recreational drugs. And I have edited 8 books. The last 8, number 8 hasn't been printed yet, but it's still in the printing and final editing process. 5 of those books are titled Drug Injury. The books address issues of both therapeutic and recreational, including amphetamines and methamphetamines and stimulants. 2 books address issues of the science of drug development. That's a brief review of my 43-page resume.
You worked as a clinical pharmacist?
A clinical pharmacist and a clinical pharmacologist.
What are you currently doing?
I'm currently an associate professor working at the Rush Medical College affiliated with the Ovarian Cancer Research Lab, member of the Institutional Review Board for Patient Safety for Investigational Studies, and member of the Admissions Committee for the Medical College, and I also give lectures and seminars in the bioethics course in the graduate college. I described my editorial work. Unfortunately, that book is not finished. I intend it to be my last book. And then I do this forensic consulting, primarily in civil matters, but I do work in criminal matters like this, and that consultation work in civil and criminal matters is throughout the United States, including, obviously, Wisconsin.
You're in private practice, correct?
Yes, sir.
You do forensic consulting, correct?
I'm sorry?
You do forensic consulting?
Yes, I do.
What's the name of your business?
Pharma Consultant Incorporated.
That's in Illinois?
Yes.
Have you ever testified in court before?
Yes, sir.
How many times, sir?
More than 400 times in 40 years.
In what states?
Approximately 35 to 38 states, including Wisconsin. You can estimate 10 to 12 states that I haven't given testimony in.
You testified here in Brown County in other car crashes involving reckless homicide, correct?
Yes, sir.
Have you testified in any homicide cases?
Drug-induced homicide cases, other homicide cases I have testified. I've testified in death penalty hearings. Testified in most of the criminal testimony is in things like DWI and aggravated OWI, or drug-induced homicide by vehicle, or selling drugs to people that kill the people and they arrest the person that sell or give the drug to them.
Have you testified in state and federal courts?
I have, including in Wisconsin.
Have you testified for private defense attorneys, for prosecutors, for U.S. attorneys?
Yes, yes, and yes.
Okay. The topics that you testified about, can you briefly tell me about that?
It's civil matters. It's did the drug cause an injury or not? If so, how did the drug cause an injury? What could have been done to avoid the injury? Within civil matters, since I'm also a pharmacist, I evaluate whether or not the pharmacist committed errors, violated the standard of practice, if their error or violation caused injury to a patient who got the wrong drug with the wrong directions, or was not cautioned about an interaction between one or the other drug. Those are the only cases I testify in the standard of care of a health professional.
Have you worked with drug testing as well?
I've done that in my training and for a period in a research sabbatical 40 years ago. I don't do drug testing. I do interpret drug testing that's done in a toxicology laboratory or a hospital laboratory to evaluate that toxicology results into a clinical context and what those numbers mean in terms of what effect it would have on the individual from whom the samples were drawn for the toxicology testing. And I have also given lectures on principles of toxicology in a graduate college.
Have you dealt with pharmacokinetics and detection periods?
Yes, pharmacokinetics is part of pharmacology. It is what the body does to the drug, and detection period, by definition, is how long the drug can be assessed, analyzed in various body fluid, be it either blood, saliva, and urine being the most common, and urine being the matrix about exists.
Have you worked with government agencies?
Yes, many. Wisconsin Board of Pharmacy, Illinois Board of Pharmacy, Illinois Departments of Mental Health, Public Health, Attorney General, Drug Enforcement Administration, United States Attorney, United States Congress, Chicago Police Department. There may be a few others.
Wisconsin Board of Pharmacy?
That was the first one I mentioned, yes.
Have you ever examined patients to determine the beneficial or toxic effects related to drugs?
I did that in my clinical practice in both the Cook County Hospital and Presbyterian St. Luke's Hospital. With a period of about 20 years, I've done that in my forensic practice. And indeed, one of the other things I do is I do private consulting outside of any type of litigation for patients who are seeking answers or assistance on medication management. And sometimes patients are referred to me by their physicians to help solve their puzzles, solve their problems.
Good afternoon, Monique. And thank you for watching my videos, and glad to have you here this Saturday. Is it raining where you at? Everybody shout out what state you're at if you don't mind. Don't put out what state that you're at. And is it raining where you at? Was it raining yesterday? Because it was insane yesterday for me yesterday. Oh my gosh, with the rain. And glad to have you here. Let's resume.
Now, with regards to this case, you were retained by the defense, correct?
Yes, sir.
And what did I ask you to do as far as services in this case?
You asked me to evaluate the matter, evaluate this Schabusiness, chronic and acute drug use related to the homicide, review, and to do so to review police reports, videos, autopsy, toxicology of the victim, pre-sentence. I've read since then pre-sentence investigation reports. I did interview Ms. Taylor, the defendant, before the hearing I was here for. I think it was in June or July. And I provided you with my opinions as to her drug use or drug history, my assessment as to the toxicity from primarily an intense, high dose, almost daily intravenous methamphetamine use on her brain and her behavior, and also reviewing her psychological and psychiatric history, what effects those her methamphetamine use would have on her mental illnesses that she was diagnosed with. So I didn't do the mental illness diagnosis that was done by mental health professionals, but I considered what effect the mental illnesses would have on drug use and vice versa, because that's part of what I do. We look at the drug, but again, get the clinical context. So what is this drug use, either whether it's quantified or actually measured in the exact amounts, or qualified, described as how frequent. Look at any evidence surrounding this as to what or how the drug use affects an individual's life, and then take into incorporate the clinical context of prior psychiatric treatment, psychological and psychiatric diagnosis, any psychotropic drugs for any mental illnesses, the effectiveness of those psychotropic drugs, whether or not the patient was compliant with the medications, whether or not when they use the medications and we're not using methamphetamine, whether their behavior enhanced. So it's a lot of moving parts, but that's what a pharmacologist does, in contrast to a toxicologist that just looks at the numbers and says, this is how much was used.
You understood, or you were provided information as to the events that happened with regards to this case, correct?
Yes, sir.
You were aware that blood was taken from a bucket and then used for testing purposes, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall what drugs Taylor Schabusiness admitted to using up to and during the date of the incident?
Yes. She was using methamphetamine and marijuana, cannabis.
Daily?
Marijuana daily, methamphetamine almost daily. Those are her words. So there were some days she didn't use it, and that was over the course of approximately a 2-year period, with the exception of when she became pregnant, decided and stopped drug use. Drug use resumed after she gave birth and lost her baby, came back to Wisconsin.
Methamphetamine is highly addictive, is that fair?
Extremely highly addictive, one of the most addictive.
Information as to the events that happened with regards to this.
Sorry, I had to rewind. Did he say that she stopped doing drugs when she was pregnant? I was wondering, was she doing drugs pregnant? I think he said she stopped, so that's a good thing. Because when these, not just the mother. Now, ladies, you might not do no drugs, or no drinking or nothing, but you let that man up inside of you and his sperm is tainted because he's a drug addict, a weed head, coke head, or whatever, and alcoholic, that can affect the child. Everybody want to put the blame on the mother. So what was she doing when she was carrying the baby? Maybe she just got some bad tainted sperm in her. Yeah, I have to call that as it is. Resume.
This case, correct?
Yes, sir.
You're aware that blood was taken from a bucket and then used for testing purposes, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall what drugs Taylor Schabusiness admitted to using up to and during the date of the incident?
Yes. She was using methamphetamine and marijuana, cannabis.
Daily?
Marijuana daily, methamphetamine almost daily. Those are her words. So there were some days she didn't use it. That was over the course of approximately a 2-year period, with the exception of when she became pregnant, decided and stopped drug use. Drug use resumed after she gave birth. And
So for 2 years she wasn't doing drugs. Probably she was still doing the weed, but she didn't do the meth. Oh, okay. Let's get back to Jack. Wait. What did Purple say? That's right, Donna. Yeah, you can get some bad sperm up in you. You need to know who, ladies. These men that you want to lay down with and, have their baby, their sperm might be something wrong with it. And then your child come out with all these health problems and issues. But they so quick to want to blame the woman. Oh, it's the woman. It's the woman. She was carrying the child. Yeah, she could do some damage, but maybe she didn't do nothing wrong. She was eating right, exercising during her pregnancy. She was doing that before, but she just got some bad sperm that hit her eggs in her body, and now the child's all messed up. Yeah, I said it. Jack! On the road. Safe travels, safe travels. Reason.
lost her baby, came back to Wisconsin.
Methamphetamine is highly addictive, is that fair?
Extremely highly addictive, one of the most addictive drugs that we know.
Again, based on your training and experience and knowledge.
I believe I said that, but I'll say it again. And thank you, Purple. Alcohol, too. All of that stuff. It all goes into the system. You know, it all goes into the system. And you understand why your child is all messed up. What did I tell you? I said a friend of mine's, the reason why she didn't have babies with her husband, because there was a lot of mental illness in his family. And he agreed with her, and she agreed they wasn't going to have no kids because they didn't want to have children that would come out have mental illness. Not saying it's a guarantee, but it was a possibility, and they both decided, as husband and wife, no, they didn't want to do that. Well, at least he was honest with her and told her, right? At least he was honest. Resume. That's why in dating, you got to get to know a person. Yes, you do. And especially if you plan to have children with this person. Resume.
Can methamphetamine use cause hallucinations, visual or auditory?
Yes, both. They can cause a form of drug-induced psychosis.
What is psychosis?
Psychosis, the easiest way to describe it is a loss of touch with reality.
Delusion?
Delusions includes hallucinations. Just a loss of touch. What they do makes no sense. What they say makes no sense. They're not reasoned with. They're to use an old term, they're out of it.
If Ms. Schabusiness indicated that she had used 51 hits of methamphetamine prior to the incident on or about February 22nd of 2022, would you have a concern about that?
When I have concern, yes, I've never heard of that much methamphetamine used in one setting. I'd be interested to.
Did he just say 52 hits? You tell me she had 52 hits when she did what she did to this guy? Oh my Lord. See, I noticed with this trial, the judge was, he gave defense a hard time. It was a lot of things he didn't want the jury to hear. See, now I'm learning a lot about this. I don't think I could qualify to do jury duty because there's a lot of things that they don't want the jury to hear. And it could be something that will help you to make a better decision. You didn't know this, so you would, if you'd have known this, you would never said guilty, or you would never said innocent. And the judge, when you watch this trial, he was, first of all, the judge was rushy. This is all my thoughts and opinions. He was rushing this whole trial. He wanted to be done over in a week. Quick, bam, done. Next, let's get to phase 2, right? Then it was a lot of things that he didn't want to come out there, especially her drug use and how meth and drugs have an effect on a person. It was like the judge already had his mindset was, I want this woman guilty. I want her in prison and thrown under the prison, and next person in the courtroom. You know, it's a lot of things to know. I didn't know about this 52 hits because judge wouldn't let it go through. And I'm not trying to give her, have sympathy for the defendant. Not at all. She's guilty. She's guilty. She admit to it. She did it. But we need to know everything. So it's sad that some of these people in jury, you don't get all the evidence. You don't get everything. They pick and choose what you want to hear. And the judge, to me, was basically, he was way on the prosecution. And another thing y'all ladies and gentlemen have to know in the courtroom, a lot of people in the courtroom are friends. That judge been there for years in that court building. Those prosecutors been there for years, and the defense been there for years in the court building. They all hang out with each other, go to each other's barbecues, weddings, baby showers, Christmas parties and stuff. They all friends, hang out with each other after happy hour. You don't know who's friends with who. So you don't know if the judge could be cool with the people that's in the prosecution. They could be best buds. So he's like, I got your back, I got you. So you just never know. And not just in the courtroom, anywhere in life. Even in the workplace that you at. Be careful who you say to your co-workers. You don't know if your co-worker is friends and buddy with your supervisor and boss hanging out on the weekends. And everything you say to your co-worker is going to go to them. Then you don't understand why you at work, you being picked on, or you're about to be fired. I always said, when it comes to the workplace, and it's too bad I learned the hard way in my 20s and stuff, you cannot trust nobody at the workplace. I don't date nobody at the workplace. Don't tell nobody your business. Just come to work, be polite, do your work, and leave. Resume.
Learn what the gram weight is of the methamphetamine because we have a little bit more context then, but someone, for instance, using 1, 2, 3 grams a day represents tolerance that the subject has to use more to get the same effect. But even in the course of use of using it, the way methamphetamine is used, it's astounding.
As far as Taylor Schabusiness, how did she use it? Was it IV? Did she smoke it?
Wow, Purple, thank you for sharing that. You said the same thing with my sister-in-law. We were married to brothers. They had 2 aunts with birth defects. He remarried and had kids, and one came out severely defected. Wow. Prayer hands. I'm so sorry to hear that. But thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it happens. It happens. 603 says, I worked out so I can't alcohol. Wait a minute. I worked out so I can't alcohol people. Oh, I guess he worked with. So I can't alcohol people on my life, and I have never heard of anybody using that much meth. Oh, okay. I think I got what you're saying, but yeah, that much meth, that's a lot, right? 603? That's a lot. No wonder she did all the things that she did to this person. Gosh. Very true. Just do the work and leave. Yeah, when it comes to workplace, I'm so serious. I know everybody's friendly. You want to be down with everybody. So I know sometimes, Chris, if you can, don't even go to the holiday parties. But sometimes you have to show your face because you don't want to seem like that coworker, that employee that's, they think it's too good. You don't want to be around people. Just go for a little while. Don't even drink. Because even if you have one glass of wine, they're going to probably say you get knocked off a whole bottle. Because people just want to spread stories. Don't even drink. If you do, just have one drink, nurse it, fake it, act like you're drinking or whatever. Just go from there. And just keep it going. Say, I have an engagement, something happened with my children or my mother, whatever you want to make up excuse. I can't stay for them, but I just want to show my face. I wish everybody happy holidays and go. Yeah. Amber's it's the best way, unfortunately. But I'm not saying don't go to work being stuck up. Always greet people good morning, good afternoon. But just keep it going. And especially us women, we have to be careful. Because if you be nice to a coworker, next thing you know, he trying to get with you. And then if you don't want to get with him, he can't handle rejection. And he starts stalking you, act crazy in the workplace. Oh, that happens. I can tell you some stories on that one. 603 said, it would have stopped her heart. Oh, okay. 603 is saying something. It would have stopped her heart. She would have had an overdose. Seemed like her heart was going strong. Lord have mercy. But you got a point there. And Mary says, I tell them alcohol makes me violently ill because it does. Yeah, alcohol is serious too. All those drugs and alcohol, all of that stuff. Just have to be careful how you use it. And I'll say one thing, I don't have no respect for nobody who drinks and drives. I'm not trying to hear it. No excuse. Resume.
In her usual method of administration is IV. She told me that she smoked it on the day of the homicide. That was the preferred method of the victim used, who was also a methamphetamine user, and that's how it's the term hit applies to smoking rather than injecting.
Was it your understanding that the victim and Mr. Business were using meth prior to the incident on February 22nd of 2022?
Immediately prior to, and that for some time regularly used meth together, and that he was her source.
Did Taylor tell you when she first started using meth?
Yes. When her husband was released from prison, he was a methamphetamine user. He returned to using methamphetamine, and he got her started on it. And I have a figure in my mind of approximately 2 years. I think that release was late 2019. At that time.
Okay. Did Taylor tell you or describe the effects that meth had on her?
It destroyed her life. Those were not her words, but that would my take on it. She lost a job that she had for 3 years. It was mentioned earlier, the Saputo Cheese Company. She told me she liked the job. She made good money working there. But when she started using meth, she stopped going to work. Meth was all that she did. She had other jobs, but they never lasted because she was either high or unable to go to work.
I know I'm doing a lot of chatting, but we're learning from this. This is a teaching channel to learn from. But I want to say something. I remember a piece of advice that my grandmother gave me as a little girl. She said, be careful these guys that you're dating that put you on drugs, even weed, that encourage you to do drugs with them, and you end up doing it because you're in a relationship. You're like, oh, okay, well, I'll just try. It's just a little bit. So you'll turn out to be the one who's strung out on it. He'll stop and then look at you like, ooh, I don't want to be bothered with you. You're a drug addict. What's wrong with you? Manipulation. Yep. So just don't even mess with this stuff. Don't. Resume.
It changed her. She became, didn't know anything about her personality, which I've heard about today, but she was arrested for aggressive behavior against police officers. And I think that's what precipitated her commitment to Nicolette for the forced psychiatric treatment and medication treatment. She hadn't had that type of behavior before methamphetamine use. She had mental illnesses. She did have psychiatric diagnoses, but those were much more prominent after methamphetamine use.
What psychiatric diagnoses do you understand that Ms. Schabusiness had at the time of the incident in this case?
By my reading, they're described as bipolar 1 with psychotic symptoms, schizoaffective spectrum disorder, PTSD, depression or major depressive disorder, and history of ADHD for which she was not treated.
Do you have any opinions to share with the court on the issue of impairment or that kind of topic on the date of the incident?
Yes. Based on in the setting of a long-term chronic intensive use of methamphetamine in a mental in the setting of in this younger lady's life with a mental illness diagnosis or defect that is principally bipolar, extensive use on that day would cause significant intoxication and impairment.
Oh my gosh, Purple, you are so right. I love what you just said. Yeah, Donna. And nowadays, these guys get these younger girls on drugs and then human traffic them. Exactly. That's what happens. Ooh, Lord have mercy. Tell you, talk to your children. Talk to them. Resume.
Methamphetamine it affects the prefrontal lobe, executive function, judgment, discretion, consequences, and through a mechanism of altering the brain chemistry, principally dopamine and subsidiaries of dopamine and other neurotransmitters. That's the mechanism of the acute use in a setting of chronic use. In similar situations, she's already damaged goods. She already has brain damage. She already has brain damage from coming into the setting on the date of the homicide and using again. In other words, the chronic use causes over the constant daily insults to the brain function, the brain chemistry, the brain substance, such that even without the use of continuing use of methamphetamine, there is chronic damage that is present as a result of that long-term use, such that an individual has impairments to that, again, that prefrontal lobe, the cerebral cortex, deliberation, evaluation, judgment, risk-taking. So on that day, extreme intensive methamphetamine intoxication. This young lady, because of her mental illness, the use of methamphetamine in the setting of mental illness, bipolar, particularly bipolar that's not being treated with a psychotropic drug, the methamphetamine exacerbates the bipolar disorder. And indeed, for Ms. Schabusiness, the neuropsychologist who evaluated her a year after the arrest, over a period of more than a year since her incarceration, where she has no exposure to drugs, still has this mental illness and still has psychotic features, and therefore the mental illness is not drug-induced, but in this setting, drugs will enhance the manifestations or negative consequences of the bipolar. And then finally, and I think I alluded to it.
Amber, I'm kind of watching this with y'all. I can't remember exactly, but he does work into the mental health field. I don't know if it's a psychologist, psychiatrist. There's so many different therapists, counseling, but he's been doing this for a long time, and he's very aware of all of these things. So I guess they have him up there as, And the thing is, I'm trying to understand. If they doing all this so the judge can give a lighter sentence, it's not going to work. Because the judge already have the sentence already set in his mind. He already know what he's going to do. Tell you, he was rushing through this whole trial. He just wanted to be over and done with. He already had in his mind, she's guilty, and that's it. He gave defense a hard time. And I have to say, this guy, this defense attorney, he's very good. Because he was, when it came to phase 2, and with her mental illness, he did a phenomenal job, I think, my opinion, of trying to bring out points. And everything he was trying to talk to the judge about, like, well, let's add this and take this out. And the judge was like, no, he was just more on prosecution. And this crap happens in the courtroom. It does. Yep. So, but he works in the mental health field, Amber. But exactly what? I missed it. I'm sorry, I missed it. Reason.
Bipolar does have effective drug treatments, certainly much more effective than schizophrenic medications. However, if the patient is not given the medications and is not or does not take the medications, they don't have the benefit of the therapeutic gains with the medications. Under that setting, where we have a patient who has mental illness and is untreated and uses a toxic methamphetamine, there's even greater risk for a worsening mental impairment in settings where it's just total psychosis and total loss of reality. Long opinion, but I think that's everything.
If a person like Taylor Schabusiness used marijuana at a young age, can that impair, alter, or distort her memory?
Yes. One of the consequences is memory distortion, but there's also a shrinkage of the development of the brain. The brain doesn't develop in a adolescent that uses marijuana chronically the way to its fullest potential as it would without marijuana. And part of that is, so you're just dealing with less mass. One of the impairments that documented is memory.
Who just creeped through the back door? Is that Susie Q? And blessings and happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Okay. I believe he's a pharmacist. I think they said that he was a pharmacist at 1.2 and that he was a therapist. I can't remember exact one, but they did say something about the pharmacist. I think they said that was a job that he had too. So he was all over the place, I guess, in the medical field. But good to see you, Susie. All right, let's get back to it.
Memory distortion. And then I haven't said anything about the acute effects of marijuana with methamphetamine, because marijuana, in my opinion, is, if you rate these drugs in terms of risk on a scale of 1 to 100, marijuana is at a 5 and methamphetamine is at 1,000.
As far as methamphetamine, does that impair cognition and other temperaments in an individual that uses?
Cognition, thinking, deliberation, control and behavior, risk-taking. There's even something that I just recently learned, that episodic memory impairments. One of the applications of that is that people get so messed up using methamphetamine, but they continue using it. Now they're addicted to it, but they forget how bad they were during their last near-death binge. So yeah, but it's cognition, and it just wipes out thought processes. There's no control over thoughts, and there's no control over behavior.
Impairs memory?
Methamphetamine, yes, it does impair memory.
Marijuana as well?
Yes.
With regards to methamphetamine, can that drug cause someone to have violent behavior?
See, I'm not going to shoot down people that smoke weed, especially people that do it because they're in chronic pain. Them, I can completely understand. Because if I'm around here in chronic pain, give me some gummies now. Exactly. Give me some now. When people have this chronic pain, I can understand. There's people walk around here every day of their life. They wake up in pain. They can't go to sleep. They in pain. They eat. They in pain. They shower. They in pain. All day in pain. So I can understand. That can alleviate some of the pain. But what I worry about with these young kids out here that's smoking this weed all the time, right? This is affecting them in the future. I'm not talking about ones who do once in a while. You have some people called, I think it's called wake and bake. They wake up in the morning, rolling up, getting high. And if I'm correct, it's up to you 25 when your brain fully develops, up to the age of 25. So imagine you got these young kids, 12, 13, 14, 15, yeah, so young, just smoking weed, blah, 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 smoking weed. And then all of a sudden they get older, they walking around here fried. Don't have memory, they don't know, sitting around playing video games all day. That's the only thing they can seem to focus on and do well is video games. These are my thoughts and opinions. So it affects them. Marijuana will affect. If you're doing that at such a young age while you're still in the developing stage, your body's still growing and developing, I feel it's going to mess you up. Yep, fried, that brain. Exactly. I'm talking about the ones that's like heavy users. I'm talking about there's some people that just, I mean, all day, every day. There's no breaks. Not no once in a while hanging with friends. Oh, I'll just do a little pull or two, whatever. No, no, no. They do it all day. You got some high school kids that get up in the morning, get high, and they go to class, sitting through class stoned. And they still developing. But can't tell them nothing. It's a herb. It's a herb. What is this? Oh boy, let's get back to it.
Oh, yes. Violent behavior, and also part of the violent behavior is the criminal element of people robbing and shooting you to get your drugs or steal your money that you're using to buy drugs. But yes, violent behavior, violent attacks on individuals, attacks on police officers, suicides, homicides. It's one of the most predictably violent and aggressive stimulating drugs.
Fair to say that the more meth you use, the worse it gets as far as violence, aggressiveness.
That's fair, but I would have to be, caution that not everybody's going to have the same extent of the violence, which is good, because otherwise we'd have many, 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 many more, considering the number of methamphetamine users in our population. We'd have many, many more drug-induced homicides, methamphetamine attacks.
Dr. O'Donnell, is it your testimony that meth use alters the brain chemistry?
It absolutely, yes, it is my testimony. That is my opinion. That's well described. That's how it causes the high, by altering the brain chemistry. It says you do it too much, and indeed there's some literature that describes.
Susie, I was in a relationship with a principal at a high school, and the stories he would tell me, he said there'd be so many kids walking around stoned, sitting in class stoned. He was like, it's just ridiculous, off of weed. I remember when he was telling me all this stuff that he would see. He would call students into his office and just look at them like, you stoned right now, aren't you? No, I'm not. What are you talking about? Your eyes is bloodshot. You smell like weed. You can't focus. You sitting in class. You want to go to sleep. You want snacks. He said it's ridiculous that how many of these high school kids around here walking around stoned. Get up early in the morning, rolling, smoking weed before you start class. What happened to having a good breakfast? A good breakfast, nourish your brain. Nah. I learned a lot from him. He told me a lot about these high school kids. It's a damn shame. Excuse my language. Let's get back to it.
Eventually, the methamphetamine users develop Parkinson-like disease because their brain chemistry has been so messed up when they were young that the consequences are that they're at much greater risk for developing Parkinson's and at an earlier age than Parkinson's is seen. Parkinson's is someone with movement disorders and has trouble walking and controlling their muscles.
Is it your testimony that methamphetamine use, chronic acute use, can create delusions, hallucinations, psychosis?
Yes, it is.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah, just briefly, Doctor. So I wanted to pick up where we left off there. You said that chronic methamphetamine use alters the brain chemistry. Is that right?
Yes.
And is that something that can be unaltered in some way, the brain chemistry?
Pardon?
Is that something that can be unaltered in some way, the brain chemistry?
With
I remember the guy I was with, the principal, he used to tell me, you see, he had to be running to that vending machine, getting those snacks. He knew it. But if he caught them walking around the hallways high, oh, he was a big guy, real big, gorgeous looking. Oh my God, dark chocolate, big guy. So, a lot of kids were scared of him. And if he knows he walked through the hallways and if he see you was high, he's like, come to my office right now. You going home. You out of here. He didn't play that. What a shame. Too bad the parents wasn't more into it. All right, let's get back to it. Yeah. I'll tell you, Purple. One time I went to go visit him at work when he was working. And I remember I saw him running to the kids like, I think he high. And I used to be like, you're not playing. Oh, he said, no, not on my watch. I'm the principal. I'm not having this crap. Okay. Reason.
Many, in regular circumstances, the chemical changes that are induced by a drug do go back to normal in certain circumstances, certain drugs. So the answer is yes.
Okay, but, so, I mean, you're saying from a young age, chronic use of methamphetamine, fundamentally changes the brain. Is that consistent with what you said? Okay, so then that chronic use at some point, is that able to be reversed in some manner?
Any damages are permanent.
Okay. And I guess one of the damages of long-term meth abuse, I think you said no control over thoughts, no control over behaviors?
That was acute.
Oh, for acute
That was
use.
acute.
Okay.
The damages of chronic methamphetamine use is that there can be psychosis, there can be lapses into psychosis, it can, and it can worsen any other mental illnesses. That's the major risk. Methamphetamine use doesn't cause mental illnesses. Methamphetamine use can exacerbate mental illnesses while it's being used.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So you're not a psychologist, right?
No, sir.
Nor a psychiatrist.
I am not.
So you rely on some of those prior diagnoses in reaching some of your opinions, though, right?
Yes, I'm relying on diagnoses made by psychiatrists and psychologists.
Okay, and I think you said the principal one was bipolar 1 that Mr. Business had?
Yes.
That was a prior diagnosis that was made?
Yes.
That was nothing you, I guess, are capable of diagnosing?
Right, I would not diagnose it.
Okay. So, if a court-appointed psychologist in the case found there was, quote, no credible evidence she has an underlying mental illness such as bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, or a like condition, you wouldn't be able to dispute that, right?
No, I think it would be no, I would not dispute that.
Okay. But, obviously, using these prior diagnoses helps form your current opinion about her mental state, is that right? These prior diagnoses, bipolar 1, schizophrenia.
I use prior diagnoses and subsequent diagnoses to identify the mental illness that she had and has, and then I considered the effects of methamphetamine without mental illness, methamphetamine with mental illness, the effect of methamphetamine on any mental illness, and the effect of the inability or the non-treatment for mental illness that puts her at risk for behavioral alterations and also greater risk of impairment and toxicity from methamphetamine use. Again, it sounds like it's a lot of moving parts, but I hope it described it so it's not confusing.
Sure. So the information you're relying on in terms of the acute methamphetamine on the date of this incident, that's information that comes from Schabusiness, right?
It comes from Schabusiness. Yes, it does, and it's corroborated by the toxicology reports of the victim.
So her intoxication level is corroborated by the toxicology results of
Well,
person?
they're using methamphetamine together, and he's a source of methamphetamine, and she's an addict of methamphetamine. She's going to use methamphetamine, and that's the underlying basis for me believing that when she said she used methamphetamine during those activities.
Sure, but you have no information about the amount she used?
No, I don't.
Or the exposure she had previously or tolerance she had?
I assume she had tolerance. The amount she used previously, with frequency, I don't know whether I got that in my notes or not, and I don't have my notes, so I don't know exactly. But as part of her treatment, she was identified as having methamphetamine use disorder and cannabis use disorder, as well as bipolar 1. I think that those were the diagnoses at the Nicolette Treatment Center, which was not too long before the homicide.
Yeah, sure, in 2021. But in terms of objective evidence of her intoxication under methamphetamine, marijuana, whatever substance, the night of this incident, you have no information?
I have no toxicology tests from her, and I didn't witness her use the drug. I wasn't there.
And I guess she said she's 51 hits. So did she tell you that? Or
no, she did not. I just heard that last night on the phone and this morning in court.
All right, but that would be something you've never heard of before in your...
I had never heard of that before.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor. I have nothing further.
You're welcome.
Mr. Freilich, can you redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Doctor. Sit down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Other witnesses, Mr. Freilich?
No, Your Honor. I have no other witnesses other than possibly my client.
All right, be seated. Okay, Mr. Freilich?
The arguments of counsel.
Okay, all right, very good. Then, my thought had been that if Mrs. was going to testify, we'd probably take a break for lunch and come back. But given that she's not going to testify, she's going to use her right of allocution. My thought is we just proceed right to arguments and then sentencing. Any objection to that, Mr. Saunders?
No, that's fine.
Mr. Freilich?
No, that's fine.
All right, so then, I know, Mr. Saunders, you had indicated there were some something regarding the victim impact statement you wanted to do? Was it going to be read in, or how did you want to handle that?
I believe now two family members of the victim wish to orally address the court, Judge.
Okay.
I think just orally is a victim impact statement. So.
Very good. And if they want to come up and stand, there's a microphone right above. If you want to stand right between those two pillars there, they can stand right there. If you could just tell me your name first, sir.
Shad Thyrion. Shad's uncle. I basically just want.
B, I know you didn't just come in and say that. This is insane. She said, why is she wearing the oversized panty over her? Over. I can't. It does look like it. Oh gosh, I can't. Well, what's said is impossibility that that she's like to spit, so maybe she's going through the spitting in the prison, so they won't take no chance. Let me rewind just a bit because I didn't catch who is this guy. This is very important. So I really want to hear who this guy was. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get back to it. Oh my gosh, y'all got me cracking up. I love it.
Something regarding the victim impact statement you wanted to do. Was it going to be read in, or how did you want to handle that?
I believe now two family members of the victim wish to orally address the court, Judge. Okay. I think just orally is a victim impact statement. So.
Very good. And if they want to come up and stand, there's a microphone right above. If you want to stand right between those two pillars there, they can stand right there. If you could just tell me your name first, sir.
Shad Thyrion. Shad's uncle. I basically just wanted to say that there's no excuse.
Oh, this is the uncle. Okay.
Upbringing, you know. We all go through hard times growing up, at least the majority of us have. You have the opportunity to change that.
Looking at this guy, look like his drug of choice is steroids. I'm sorry, he looked like he doing steroids. He got a nice body. I mean, he aging well, but he looks like he got a little steroid help in him. I don't know. It's just my thoughts here. Okay, let's get back to it.
You have the opportunity to, see that you have a problem. I've been in recovery a little over 3 years. In AA, I drank for 41 years. I realized I had a problem. So there's just, basically to me, you took an easy way out. You're the most cowardly, weakest things that you could do possible. You meet a person in school, you say he's your friend, you become friends, you become girlfriend, boyfriend, lovers, gain his trust. An innocent person that's very kind, will do anything for you. And I believe you used that, and you had this plan, and took your opportunity when you did. There's no excuse, I don't see it in another way. To take advantage of someone's kindness like that, that's like the most irritating thing for me. You get to know somebody, and they trust you, and you do that. You say, yeah, you're his friend, you said that in the statements. It's like, man. But I walked into a program, and it's free. You can go get help and it's free. All over the place there's help. And it doesn't cost a dime, It's either, and the first thing they tell you in there, you want to continue doing what you're doing. It's going to be jail, institution, or death. And you chose that path. You chose the wrong path. They sit here talking about being rehabilitated. Is Shad's mother going to ever rehabilitate from this? No, but you can go to an institution, you can go to prison and try to be rehabilitated, but I don't see no reason why you'd have parole after the doctor had just mentioned once you have so much damage that it's irreversible. So why don't make no sense to me even to have the option of parole to come back and gain someone's trust like that again. Because that is like the lowest thing a person can do. You know what I mean? I just don't understand that. And the biggest thing is, like I said, the help is free and it's there. You chose not.
There's no way I'm gonna get through this live stream. Y'all have me cracking up. Mary said that fella is the bounty hunter fan. That's what he looks like. I couldn't figure out what it was. He does look like him. OMG. Mary, stop. Y'all gotta stop. We gotta get through this live stream. We gotta get through it. We gotta get through it. He does. Okay, let's get back to it. But I'll say something about the bounty hunter. If you want somebody found, he will find you. That's the man. He doesn't play. He doesn't play. Yeah, Susie, don't he look just like him? He do. Purple, you agree? He look just like him. Shout out to the bounty hunter. Because He's a man who don't play. If you need something done, you need him to find somebody, he will find them. And there go my classy lady girl, sister, BG in the house. Maria, and welcome, Fox, welcome. Running today in and out, showing love. Okay, girl, okay. Let's get back to it. We gotta get through this. We gotta get through it.
You know, I'm sure you knew you had a problem. You know, you can't blame it on childhood. You know, there's help out there. And if you take the path to go get the help, you wouldn't be in this situation right now. None of us would be in this situation. But to take the cowardly path that you did and to make other people suffer because you were suffering is pretty shitty. So that name Taylor Schabusiness fits you well. And I'm not a praying man, but after Judge Walsh sentenced you today, I will pray that you meet the same fate as your idolistic Jeffrey Dahmer. So have a good life, Schabusiness.
Yeah, she did idolize Jeffrey Dahmer. Yes, she did. Ooh, boy. All right. Well, he brought up some good points. You know, I understand what he's saying. We shouldn't, always give a childhood excuse, but it is what it is. I'm sorry. Whoever you was raised by, either was foster parents, adopted parents, your mother, your father, your aunt, your uncle, whoever's the one that was taking care of you, it has a lot to do with the way you turned out and how you will proceed in life with your future. It is what it is. I'm not trying to give an excuse, but it is. All right, let's get back to it.
The next speaker will be a statutory crime victim, so we ask the media to be advised of that, Judge.
Okay. I just want to. All right. They're indicating they are going to make sure that they're not doing. And if you just, sir, before you start, if you just state your name for the record.
Michael Thyrion.
Okay, go ahead.
Taylor, I just want to say that I forgive you for what you've done to my son. And yeah, you made a bad choice.
Michael Thyrion. That must be the father. That's the father. He wasn't on the stand. The only person who was on the stand was the mother. I guess he doesn't want to show his face, but the uncle did. I don't know where the uncle's from. His mother or his father's side. I don't know. But this is the father. So this is interesting. I get to hear what the father has to say. He said he forgive him because at the time when he got murdered, I think that Shane, I think his name is Shane. Look at the description. I might be pronouncing wrong. But Shane and this lunatic, they went over to his mother's house. Right? So he wasn't currently living with his mother. He was living with his father. I think they came over to do laundry because when the mother was on the stand, or was it her living boyfriend, said that, they just stopped by like to do laundry or whatever. And he was knocking on the door. So I was like, oh, I guess he ain't got no keys for the door. So I guess mama must not feel too safe with her son or whatever the deal is. I don't know. It's her house. You do what you want to do. And they came over. And next thing you know, she go downstairs, I guess the next day, and she see her son's head and wood stick in a bucket by the stairs. Lord, I know she's going to need some therapy. Oh, boy. All right, let's get back to it.
And now you have to live with it. But, I'm going to miss Shad. He was a wonderful child, too. Growing up, just mild-mannered and just happy. And I know you made a bad choice, and like I said, I forgive you, and I'm going to ask the judge if you can, if she can see the streets again sometime, It may not be soon, but I believe everybody makes bad choices, and maybe not to the scale, but I think there's a lot of hope for you. I think, you can make use of your time and be a better person, and do great things yet, so. It does no good for me to hate you, I know you got a heart. I know you got a mind, and I wish you no harm. And I hope things go well for you. That's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you. Any other witnesses or people want to speak? Mr. Saunders?
No, I don't believe so.
Very good. Then I'll turn to the state for a sentencing recommendation.
Thank you. So ultimately, the state's recommendation is that the defendant not be eligible for release at any point to extended supervision. And obviously, we're here for legally and morally the most serious offense somebody can commit in the state. Really, I think a few points bear emphasis. I'm not going to rehash the entire trial testimony for the court, but I do think a few points bear emphasis. Really, the manner and nature of which Ms. Schabusiness caused Shad's death in this case, I think is really one of the more egregious, frankly incomprehensible methods of ending another person's life that we've seen in this county and certainly in a significant period of time. So it's one thing we sometimes see intentional homicides where there is a bad choice. There is a decision in a moment of anger or whatever it is to pull a trigger on a gun.
Yep, the bounty hunter did say that. He said, shh, didn't he? He did that so smooth. I forget that we on a high speed 1.5. But I heard it. You heard it too, right, Susie Q? You heard it. You heard it. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Reason. All right, this is the prosecution. I guess you already know this is the prosecution.
Or to hit somebody in anger. And while that exists when they're committing that act or when they're pulling that trigger, it's sometimes rather fleeting. The manner, as we heard from the defendant herself, explain how she ended Chad's life. This really wasn't a bad decision. It was a series of conscious efforts. It was continued effort over, as she said, 3 to 5 minutes, as she's telling and describing for Detective Groff and Detective Kemp, pantomiming how she's pulling harder, how she's glibly talking about how he's turning purple, and I liked it. I'm pulling harder. He's coughing up blood. I'm pulling harder. I kept going. I was waiting for him to die. This really is an involved process. It's a method of ending another person's life that really is quite significant. I think evinces some significant concerns going forward, both in looking at the nature of the offense as we have to, but in looking at some of the other factors the court's to consider, and which I'll be commenting on earlier. It's really one of the most horrific ways to end a person's life. And again, it's bad enough to do to anyone, but as we heard, there was this level of trust and friendship and familiarity between the two, which I think is just really makes the acts of the defendant really incomprehensible in that respect. You have obviously the method of ending his life was significant and serious, but after the fact, not realizing in the course of this conduct her actions are going too far, and to the opposite, actually going further, and as I commented on earlier, but not then owning up to what happened, not realizing the impact of her subsequent acts would have on Shad and his memory, on his family, on this community, really, to engage in the acts that she did with his body, which I'm not going to comment on what those are. The court and counsel are aware of what happened, and the systematic and organized and laborious efforts she undertook. Again, that's nothing we've seen in this county. I can imagine in many counties have seen acts of callous brutality like that. And I do think that's an extremely aggravating factor. I recall Dr. Tranquita's testimony from trial talking about the amount of effort and volition and choice that would have to be done to undergo what the defendant did over a period of hours. This was not, again, one bad choice in some respects. It was the choice to end his life in the first place, certainly a bad choice, but continued bad choices throughout the next day, throughout the morning and into the night, where she's finally stopped by law enforcement. It's the three convictions that Ms. Schabusiness was convicted of.
I agree with you, Susie. A sane person wouldn't do what she did. Yeah. I'm not saying, oh, just give her just a little therapy and she'll be back on track. She'll be okay. Just tell her to take her meds every day at 4 o'clock and blah, 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 and eat a good meal and exercise, and she'll be a productive citizen. No, I'm not saying that. No. And I don't think she need to be back out in the streets, but she need to be in the proper place for who she is and her condition. Not in no prison. Nope. See, that's what happened to her in the beginning. She fell through the cracks. Nobody was really there. So this is what happened. She became a monster in her adulthood. See? This is what happens. This is what happens. That hairstyle, she's strange as hell. Oh, this woman has purple This woman has phenomenal, beautiful hair. She could have went down the road of doing hair commercials for Garnier or something like that. She has beautiful hair. Thick body, full of beautiful hair. You can't really see it now in the courtroom with, with that over her. Yeah. So many things she could have did. But, being abused and drugs all the time. So, figured that's all she could do. Avila says she needs to be treated and put away. She could harm others in prison. That's what I'm saying. I mean, we're not trying to be in no jail or prison, but I'm just saying, you want to have that as your cellmate? How you going to sleep? I'm not fully watched the interrogation. Did she openly admit it all? Yes, she did. And I have the interrogation too on here because I did follow this trial, did the interrogation, everything. It's on here. You'll see it. But yes, she did. She admitted what she did. She told the whole story and everything. And some people probably look at it like, the jury probably looking like, well, if she's telling the story and the way she's talking, well, then she must be sane. No, that doesn't mean so. In my thoughts and opinions. Everybody might look at it differently. Or maybe the jury probably thought in their mind, oh, we say that she was, insane, then she might go to this facility and she get out. There's no way she's going to get out. I'm sorry. No way she'll get out. But we'll see what happens. I know the judge already have his mindset. I didn't get a chance to hear what the verdict is going to be. But we're going to hear the judge in a second. Yes, Donna, she was a nice looking. Yeah, she was absolutely stunning. Look at her. She had a phenomenal body. She got her boobs. I don't know if she got some butt back there. I don't know. But she got a nice curvy shape. She's very pretty. When she makes herself up, she's gorgeous. I have to say she's gorgeous. But yeah, she's insane. Yep. See, this is what happened doing drugs. He was getting high with her. She's getting high. They having that, BDSM sex and everything. And I think that day it just went out of control. She just took it to the next level. All right, let's get back to it.
I think are just really some of the more egregious conduct that the court will sentence a person on for some time. The court saw the entire 8-hour interview in the course of the litigation. We saw a portion or portions of that interview as she's describing this to law enforcement, and really we see really from moment one, and that continued throughout the pendency of the proceedings in the case, to her comments in the PSI. We'll see if the allocution is today, but really a lack of remorse or understanding or appreciation.
I can't stop laughing. B said, yeah, beautiful hair she has. Some of us pay so much what it weighs. Exactly. And she had it. Yo, she could have just lived her life, her income off of just doing hair commercials. All she had to do is just take a picture of her hair and send it to them. Get a good photographer, send a couple of photos, send it to these different commercials, and she could have got paid off of hair commercials. She could have been the next face. We go walk in Walmart and we see a big poster, Taylor Schabusiness for Garnier. But nope. Yep. Everything that happened in her childhood, it destroyed. No future. All right. There are some women in prison that will give her the same thing her idol Jeffrey Dahmer's got. Yep, that's true. Something to think about. But I think I think she's gonna be able to hold her own in that prison. I don't know why do I feel I think they scared. Yeah, such a way, Sam. This is crazy. All right, let's go back here. What prosecution have to say?
Appreciation, I guess, is in some respects of the conduct that she's engaging in. We saw her calmly describe what happened, at some points being rather glib and smirking about what she had done. As we see later in the PSI, having very little remorse for what she's done. And ultimately, the defendant, we've heard a lot about drug use and mental health history, which I'll comment on later, but really the defendant herself is telling us why this happened. And it wasn't because methamphetamine, it wasn't because of mental illness. She's telling law enforcement why this happened. It happened because she liked it. It's because she wanted to do it. And again, throughout the entirety of this case, we see this underlying motive is essentially, it's kind of consistent, right? We see, and we have seen acts of acting out, both in court and to examiners who are seeing her. It's consistent in the state's view with a lack of remorse, of understanding of the conduct that she engaged in. And I think that's all consistent. I think it's all an aggravating circumstance for the court to consider at sentencing. And I want to talk to, because impact on the crime victims is a factor the court considered. And I want to comment on that in two respects. First, the perseverance of this family to have the attitude they have about the case and about Taylor is admirable. To hear the things they've had to hear and experience the things they've had to experience, I think is tremendous. So the thought of the defendant having perpetrated this act and impacting them in that way, I think is incredibly concerning. It was heartening, as I've been the prosecutor for many months on this case and reading the PSI, getting to know more about Shad, and I want to comment on that because unfortunately the case we've heard, really everything we've heard about him has been in the context of what Taylor did to him. And it's really unfortunate that that's the memory that some people will have about him. And again, that's a result of the defendant's acts to, in some respects, really tinge the memory that some may have of him. And I don't want that to be the case, but we heard the good. We heard how he was a good and a quiet kid, how he would always hug his dad on the way out before he left the house, how he would read and knit and crochet with his younger sister. And that's a person the defendant took out of this world. For all the talk about how young the defendant is, Shad was 24 when he passed. So all the things we hear the defendant wants to experience in life, she still has in a confined setting, and simply put, Shad does not. So the impact on the crime victims, I think, is significant. We then look at Schabusiness's character. I guess I'll first comment on the prior history, which we consider, and I guess we're also sentencing on. There are 3 prior convictions. She was just placed on probation 6 weeks before this offense. She kicked an officer. There's indications of methamphetamine or other substance abuse that led to that conduct. She then, in the fleeing case, fled at 80 miles an hour down the downtown Green Bay when it's populated with bar patrons and other pedestrians walking down the street. She's hopping curbs. She's not stopping. She's blowing through red lights. Again, there was an indicia that drug use was at play there. And those were both in 2020. So as we heard earlier, there was ample time in reviewing the materials. Efforts were made to address the underlying substance abuse issues. She was placed on probation. And really nothing absconded from electronic monitoring. She cut off the bracelet and really then obviously engaged in this conduct. So the state agrees that, considering this idea of rehabilitation, and that's always a goal, but in some respects that opportunity was afforded both during the criminal cases and in reviewing all of the materials at many points throughout her life, and unfortunately either was not followed through with, was not taken seriously, and I think that's a concern going forward. We consider the background of the defendant, and I echo the comments earlier. That's not a childhood, that's not an early adolescence that anyone should have to go through, and that's, it's difficult to hear some of that stuff. But when we consider that sort of background information, unfortunately, we deal with a lot of people who have substance abuse issues in the criminal justice system that lead them to make choices they wouldn't normally make, that leads them to become thieves or become burglars or become misdemeanor offenders. Really, I'm not sure we have a nexus here between that underlying substance issue or mental health history and the conduct that we're sentencing her for today. Certainly, we've had a lot of litigation or testimony about the mental health history of the defendant. The court-appointed experts called a majority of that into doubt, and obviously the jury disagreed that there was any mental disease or defect that led to this behavior. And I comment on that because it's one thing just to say this person has a mental health history or a substance abuse history.
Ladies and gentlemen, I put the link in the chat if y'all want to see what I did the commentary. What was that? Taylor Schabusiness Beheaded Lover Trial Day 3 Smiling Pics with Jeffrey Dahmer recap clip. I wish I could find the picture now, but I can't. But you'll see it in there. So anybody want to watch that? Feel free to watch that commentary. Insane. Insane. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Feel free if y'all like to watch it. Hit the like and share your opinions on it. She's probably out slick a mental institution. That's true. Some of these crazy ones are very clever. You got a point, especially the sociopaths. Maybe even seduce a doctor. Oh, I'm glad that you said this, Purple. Do you know watch the other video I did too, when the other psychologist who examined her before going to trial saying I don't think she's competent to stand on trial, right? She said she thinks she wanted to show her, show her little breasts so she can get the judge to like her. Yeah, she said that. See, and it's sad because I believe when she said that, probably have a lot to do with her being as a child, what happened to her as a child. That's why she's talking like that. And it's sad. It really is. It's sad. All right. Let's get back to it. But check out that link. Resume.
It's important to know, but really why that's relevant in the sentencing is it's sometimes a nexus, or it's a explanation for one's conduct that maybe then would lead towards maybe rehabilitative efforts. I'm not sure in the case there's that nexus between the prior drug history, mental health history to the extent there is one, and the defendant's conduct here. It appears there was methamphetamine use, we don't know how much, and we don't know, given some of the comments of the defendant after the fact, how much that impacted her decision making. Certainly probably didn't help, but we, as the doctor said today, we've now had this long period of essentially forced sobriety, and we're seeing aberrant behavior throughout that time. Certainly, obviously, nothing to the extent of what she did to Shad, but I comment on that because, yes, there are those histories, and rehabilitation is always a goal of the criminal justice system. And I would think most people in the public and in the state certainly would agree with that, that as a first option, as a response to addiction, to low-level offenses, rehabilitation is a primary goal. Rehabilitation.
I'm good on fast forward because he's kind of rambling, saying the same thing. Let's hear what defense says.
Did. I think criteria like punishment and deterrence and protection of the public are more primary factors. But it was very concerning to not only hear the defendant talk about the offense to law enforcement, but the comments that is appropriate. There are select cases where the legislature has determined that somebody in the court's discretion should not be eligible for release into the community again. And looking at...
Yeah, it was definitely an essay. But if I'm correct, I think it was with a minor. Yes. Yes, Suzuki, was something with a minor. Exactly. Creep. And try to act like he a stand-up dad. Alright, does anybody know what's the reason was that she assaulted her previous... Because she just crazy. That's just basically it. Nobody knows the reason. She just snapped. She just snapped in the courtroom. She just snapped. Are you telling me she don't belong in the institution? Resume.
At the criteria and what the defendant did in this case, that's seemingly, this case seems to be kind of made for that sort of a result. What the legislature had in mind in crafting that possibility. So I believe the state should exercise the court should exercise its sentencing discretion and deny the eligibility for release. I think in that event, the sentences on the other counts are perhaps moot, but I think the PSI's recommendation for consecutive sentences on the other matters are appropriate. The sentencing after revocation, I'll just agree with the department. They recommend a year in jail. That's appropriate. But really, the preeminent case is obviously the case we're here for today. So that's all I have to say. There's credit, but we'll wait till the end. So thank you.
Okay, Mr. Freilich.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. There's a lot of information that the court has to sift through and assess and analyze in this case. We've got the State of Wisconsin Department of Corrections pre-sentence investigation report. We also have the Forte Investigations independent PSI or pre-sentence investigation report. The court heard some testimony from family members, my client's cousin, her father, her grandmother, Dr. O'Donnell. What we have here is a horrific situation that happened. It can't be undone. Certainly the defense agrees that Taylor Schabusiness has to be punished, but she's a young person. She's 25 years old. We can't undo what happened. What we know is that she's got family that supports her, that loves her, family in Texas, family in Ohio, extended family out there. They're all willing to try and help Taylor in whatever way they can. I think that my client, Your Honor, is not a throwaway. She's not a monster. She's certainly got problems, and over time, I think she can get control over her problems, get help, get rehabilitation, and also be punished. Clearly, when during the trial, the court saw the videotape footage, and when the Green Bay police detectives and officers came to the Eastman Avenue apartment and they made contact with Taylor out on on the porch or on the steps, and then had her go back inside and sit down on the stairs. You could tell that she was high on drugs. And then eventually she was questioned and taken up to the police squad car for further questioning down at the Green Bay Police Department. But Taylor is not a throwaway. She's a human being. It's not an eye for an eye. I'm very impressed by Michael Thyrion, Shad Thyrion's father. He has a huge heart, and he forgives my client for what happened. And he, from what I heard, believes that he thinks that my client should be given the opportunity for parole. Consider that. He's the victim in this case, and what he asks of the court should be strongly considered. I have a client who is very young. She's a young woman. She has severe mental health problems. It's the elephant in the room. We can't ignore it. She's got all kinds of mental health problems. They have been bore out in the records from Prevea Health, from Nicolay Psychiatric Center, from Bellin Health. She was under a civil commitment order in 2021 and under an order to take psychotropic medication. And this young lady has a lot of mental health issues that need intensive treatment and counseling over time. She is a dual diagnosis. She has severe drug addiction issues, marijuana, cocaine, methamphetamine. She apparently used it, or she smoked it, where she used it through an IV intravenously. She's had problems for a long time with drugs, and that's an issue that really needs immediate attention by professionals. But this has never been about an eye for an eye. It's about fairness and justice. That my client should be punished, but she should also be given the opportunity to have a chance at the possibility of extended supervision or parole supervision sometime in the future after she gets help. This was one incident. I would argue that my client should not necessarily receive separate punishments, although we have convictions for 3 separate crimes, but it was an incident that occurred on one particular date, February 22nd of 2022, that the sentences should be concurrent. I would argue, Your Honor, and ask the court to consider the fact that this was likely a meth-fueled type of incident on the date of this tragedy. Shouldn't have happened, but it did happen. As far as looking at my client's life, she was born in Evanston, Illinois, Chicago area, moved with family to Green Bay, Wisconsin in 2008, went to school here in the community, went to high school here at Bayport, and then at some point she went to live in Texas with her grandparents, and then came back. I would argue that Taylor Schabusiness has redeeming social value. She's got the ability to do artwork. She's like soccer. She's like swimming. She's able to function independently. She's of average intelligence. She's got adequate written and verbal skills. She's a high school graduate from Cotulla High School in Texas, where she graduated in 2016. She was very good in different classes like social studies, physical education, science, economics. She's had different kinds of jobs. As a cook for Big Beef City in 2012, 2013. She worked for Tour Temple in Texas in 2012. She worked for Saputo Cheese for about 3 years in 2017 to 2020, making about $21 an hour. She worked for Seek Staffing. When she was in Texas, she was apparently a maintenance supervisor where she made close to maybe $32 an hour. And she was certified for employment purposes in sanitation, forklift, driving, pallet jacking, safety locks, things of that sort. So she's able to do well. Those pictures, the family sent those pictures to me and I sent them to the court. I think the pictures show
I said this earlier, that you said that the dad did anything to her. I don't know, it was definitely a dad, but I heard somewhere and I read somewhere, and I can't remember where it was, so I stand to be corrected, but that she was SA as a child for years. This is why she turned out to be the way she is, right? And if I'm correct, it was the father. That's why I was shocked to see when he was on the stand. And then the nerve of him, if it is the father, but I think it was the father, the nerve of him to talk about her husband, oh, piece of crap, putting my daughter on drugs. Well, she met a piece of crap because of you, sir. I'm just saying. But I could be completely wrong, but I don't think so. Let's get back to it. Great question.
Taylor as a youngster, as a teenager, and as an adult, that she's got family that loves her, that supports her, that she is needed, and that she can form relationships, and that she's capable of love. I think that Mr. Coronado, it's unfortunate of his situation, but he indicated to the pre-sentence writer that Taylor was a good person, kind-hearted, helped others out, that Taylor struggled after her mom, Marla, passed away in 2009. Taylor Schabusiness has suffered a significant amount of loss in her life. She lost her mom, Marla, in 2009, lost her brother, AJ, in 2022 from a motorcycle accident. You heard about the other losses from the cousin that testified. My client has a little boy, Mateo, who's age 1, and he's living with Juan and Esther Coronado in Temple, Texas. Those pictures speak 1,000 words. You could see that Taylor was delighted to have that baby come into her life. She kissed his head. She hugged the baby. She was happy with being around her grandparents. You could see that she was close with her brother, AJ. All of these pictures show that she has had a good life where she got love and support from family. The tragedy, the fact that she has these losses, I don't think they were ever really addressed in counseling, but they eroded her mental health. And she had underlying problems besides all of that. My client.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you see her expression? I'm telling you, it's like people talking in her head. And she's smiling and laughing with them. Just look at her eyes. It's like she's having conversation with people that we don't see. We don't see them. Oh my gosh. Resume.
Certainly has a prior record, but it's not a long record. It's not a record where she assaults people and things of that sort. In looking at the independent pre-sentence investigation report from Paul Hyland, those writers, Mr. Hyland and Carrie Nitz, the SID, licensed abuse counselor, indicates that Ms. Schabusiness' present inability to fully process and acknowledge the acts that she engaged in on February 22nd, 2022 exists. Like, she's not needs to see professionals to help her address some of these problems that she has. But with the proper treatment, with the proper medication, with the proper counseling, I think she can turn it around and do great things like her father, Arturo Coronado, testified to. She's not a lost cause, Your Honor. And the writers from Forte Investigations indicates at this time, presently, she's unable to psychologically fathom the crimes that she committed during her mental state on February 22nd of 2022. I agree with that. I don't think she is currently able to do that. She's going to need some treatment to process all of this. She was likely in a drug-induced delusional state at the time that happened. And you even heard from Dr. James O'Donnell, who has a lot of experience dealing with methamphetamine use, and chemicals and all of that. He indicated that chronic methamphetamine use causes cognitive impairment. It impairs cognition, can cause violent behavior, delusions, hallucinations, some cases psychosis, and a loss of touch with reality. And I would argue that that's likely what happened here. Likely would not have happened if my client was not using drugs with Mr. Thyrion. And it's my client's fault that this happened, and she has to be held accountable for that, but the court needs to take that into consideration here. And, the court has the discretion to do whatever the court feels is appropriate, taking into account all of the sentencing factors. And, punishing my client for decades like the Forte investigation independent PSI recommends is appropriate. She can be punished, but at some point, she should maybe be given the chance or the possibility of being on extended supervision. Because to deny the possibility of consideration for extended supervision in the future is to reject the possibility that there may be advancements in medicine, in psychology, in therapy. Maybe certain medications can fix some of the problems that she has. This is a very complicated case from a psychological, from a mental health standpoint, from a medical standpoint. And I would argue that my client should be given the opportunity to live her later years, possibly outside of a confined setting. That it'll give her incentive to work hard in counseling, in therapy, participating in interviews with professionals to try and get a better understanding of the crime and the factors that contributed to it. And the possibility of parole, like Mr. Hyland says, is not synonymous to the probability of parole. We're just asking the court to consider the possibility of her being afforded.
Defense is doing the best he can, but this judge's mind was already set a long time ago. He already knew the jury's going to say guilty. He already had his sentencing done. Yep, their mind is already set. And Cachette says, parole, nah, exactly. Now, I don't see anything to do parole. I just think she needs to be in that facility. This is my thoughts. I say that she should be in the facility. But no, don't let her out. I'm sorry. No. She's far out there. Resume.
Extended supervision or parole in the future, sometime in the future, after thousands of hours of therapy, after thousands of hours of counseling, after possibly taking prescribed medications, following the strict adherence to the medication regimen. My client apparently doesn't seem to have much in the way of violence in her life, threats to people, and only after an extended period of time of living appropriately, vigilantly, could she have the possibility of being considered for supervised release. So I agree with what Mr. Highland and Ms. Nitz have to say about their recommendations, and I'd ask that you consider that, Your Honor. I'd ask that the sentences for counts 1, 2, and 3 all be concurrent to each other, as recommended by Forte Investigations, and then I'd ask that you consider granting her consideration for extended supervision, make her complete a mental health assessment, comply with all recommendations, have her complete an AODA assessment and follow those recommendations, submit a DNA sample that's required under Wisconsin law. I think that Forte Investigations did a very good job, a very detailed analysis of my client's problems. They did an alcohol and other psychoactive substance abuse evaluation and concluded and opined that my client has a history of using mind-altering substances, that that she had some losses in her life, but that she also had some good parts of her life where she graduated from high school, had a baby, had jobs. It talks about the history of using substances, and I took some notes on that. Well, it looks like she started using alcohol at age 6, and then continued onward with using marijuana, maybe at about 14 or so, and then got into stimulants, the methamphetamine, and started using methamphetamine at age 21. You know, using these drugs, the methamphetamine is probably one of the worst drugs you could possibly use, but it changes your brain. It changes the chemical composition of your brain. It causes all kinds of problems. She used marijuana for sometimes almost daily until she got to be 21.
And when defense wanted to bring that up, how, you know, doing meth, how it affects your brain and everything, the judge on the trial, he was like trying to not bring all that out. See, that's what I'm saying. A lot of things the jury didn't hear, that they might have would have went differently, or maybe they would have still stuck with what they said, but they might have looked at it differently. I'm sorry, that meth, after a period of years, has she been drinking alcohol since she was 6? God, she just threw away the sippy cup and said, "Give me some alcohol." Okay, resume.
So you can understand maybe how her thinking and her judgment and her ability to process was completely impaired. And then you add another layer of the mental health problems. Of course, it's going to create hallucinations and auditory and visual hallucinations where she doesn't go to sleep, stays up all night, stays up for days on end. Certainly, she was under the influence of methamphetamines at the time of this offense. And she really hasn't had much in the way of treatment. I think treatment could help fix or reduce some of the problems that she has. I think she's open to it because she tried it in the past. And maybe she resorted to drugs, Your Honor, because that's what she saw her mother do as far as using alcohol or other things, and that's how they coped. You know, you learn from your parents. My client apparently, according to NITS, meets the criteria for substance misuse diagnosis, and all the different diagnoses are as follows: alcohol use disorder, cannabis use disorder, severe opioid use disorder, morphine, stimulant use disorder, methamphetamine, stimulant use disorder, crack cocaine, and that Carrie NITS, NITZ, recommends that Ms. Schabusiness engage in treatment in a residential or inpatient service program where she can receive intensive services in a structured environment with a focus geared towards motivational and intervention strategies, as well as promotion of recovery and close monitoring of sobriety. And it's recommended that these services be received duly with the services to address her significant mental health related issues. Providing these kinds of services and recommendations, it may be possible for Taylor Schabusiness to obtain control of her life, engage in meaningful relationships with others, and adequately address her substance misuse, and which could possibly change the direction of her life, benefiting her and the criminal justice system. I think it would be a tragedy to, as an argument on behalf of my client, to give her life in prison without the possibility of parole. I think that the court should definitely take into account what the defense is recommending, what the independent pre-sentence investigation is recommending, and what Michael Thyrion is recommending. I don't believe that my client wanted to do this or liked doing it. I think that she really wasn't able to completely understand or fathom what was going on. And when she was talking to detectives from the Green Bay Police Department, she was still hopped up on drugs. Her mind just wasn't thinking straight. How could it? But she was cooperative and told law enforcement what happened, gave them information that helped with their investigation. The fact that she was cooperative should be considered by the court. I calculated the jail credit, and she was arrested on February 22nd of 2022. So through today, I come up with 581 days of credit. I talked to my client. I don't know how many hits of meth she took. She indicated maybe it was 51 hits prior to the incident, but she took a lot of meth. I would argue and submit that the more you use, the worse it gets, especially if you have an underlying mental health problem.
See, I think, if she was on her meds, she won't be such a danger to society. But the problem is, if you do let her out, who's going to make sure she don't taking her meds? Once she missed the meds, she's going to slip right back to her old ways. That's why she need to be in one of those facilities that they will make sure you take your meds every day. But no parole. I think with the meds, she's okay, but she's not responsible because they even said there was times that she wasn't taking her medicine. And she's an adult who's going to watch her and make sure she's going to take the medicine. And once she stopped taking the medicine, victim number 2. No, she might do it again. Yeah. If you let her out, she don't take that medicine, just let her stay where she at. But she just need to be in a proper place that they can take care of her. You know what I mean? Give her medicine. She is a threat to society. She did the most. Yes, she did, didn't she? Oh, boy. All right, right back to it. Right back at it again.
And the underlying mental health problem, as Dr. O'Donnell states, it was exacerbated by the heavy use of drugs. And, the doctors and the state, it seems like, other than Dr. Lighton, who said that woman is psychotic, all the other doctors seem to think that, my client does not have a mental health diagnosis or a mental health issue, and she does. That's why she was under a court order under the state of Wisconsin for civil commitment and a medication order. I would also argue that the fact that she used marijuana at a young age, 12, 13, 14, whatever it was, and whether it was daily or not, it likely changed the chemical composition of her brain and made her incapable of making rational decision. Her brain, her thought process, her ability to think rationally, all got eroded over time. And Your Honor, there are aggravating factors here. There are also mitigating factors. And I would argue that Taylor Denise Schabusiness has many redeeming social qualities. She could turn her life around with counseling, with education, support of her family, support of her dad, support of her aunt and cousin that's in the courtroom, with medication management through a psychiatrist or psychologist or therapist or doctor, possibly getting back on injectable antipsychotic medications to treat her psychiatric and other problems, get into criminal thinking classes in the prison, maybe have a full psychiatric evaluation, and have a structured daily regimen. And this young lady, I've worked with her for quite a long time. I've seen a lot of positive things in her. And I think that part of it has been the drugs were just clouding everything, where she couldn't think straight and just wasn't making right decisions. But she can turn it around. She can make better decisions in the future with help. And I think there is a nexus between her substance abuse problem and mental health history. Certainly my client needs punishment. The public needs to be protected. But also a factor is rehabilitation.
Purple, thank you for sharing this one. Purple said she can get meds in prison. A psych doctor can actually say that she's fine after many years and have her released. I've seen it happen. Ugh. No, she don't need to be released, Purple. But you do have a point. And she charming enough. Ooh, boy. And some of these doctors, they take advantage of their patients and be messing with them, if you know what I mean. S.A. Yup, in the nut houses. Yup. Or even in the prisons. These COs. So a lot of stuff happen behind the scenes, ladies and gentlemen. But you got a point, Purple.
And after years, she should be given that opportunity to be released under supervision of the Department of Corrections. She'll need close rehabilitative control, but she deserves a chance. And the court has to weigh the scales of justice. We see them all the time. From testimony, from records, from arguments, from exhibits, and from what people say, what victims say, what Michael Thyrion says. So I would ask that you consider these arguments on behalf of my client, Your Honor, as to the recommendations of 410 investigations. That ask that you go along with that. Ask that it all be concurrent. Give her the credit that I already stated. And as to the revocation manner, defense would agree that she should receive 1 year in jail. We ask that it be concurrent to any other sentence. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, Ms. Schabusiness, this is your opportunity to address me. If there's anything on your mind you'd like to say before I pass sentence.
No, there isn't.
Okay. Very good. Well then, when passing sentence on cases like this,
I did hear some of him to me. he wanted to seem like he was, compassionate to her, but we already know he don't care nothing about her. He's gonna stick it to her. But after this, after we hear what the sentencing with the judge, would y'all like for me to show you that body cam with her? It's about like 10 minutes. So let me know in the comment section. I'll play the body cam right after this. All right, let's hear the judge.
The court has to consider the factors set forth in State versus Galleon, so I have to consider the gravity of the offense, the character of the defendant, the need to protect the public, as well as other aggravating and mitigating circumstances, including rehabilitative needs and deterrence, and then craft a sentence in each case that's appropriate. In this case, when I consider the defendant's character, I can say that over the course of this case, I've learned a great deal about you, Ms. Schabusiness. First of all, you were born in Chicago, lived there until you were about age 12 rather. You seem to have had a stable childhood. You were loved by your mother and your father and your brother. And unfortunately, your mother passed away when you were 12, your brother passed away in a vehicle accident, and your dad's incarcerated. But I'm confident that all three of them probably still love you very much. Her father's employment was transferred to Green Bay when she was about 12 years old, and hence began the contact Ms. Schabusiness had with this community. She attended Bayport High School. At about 16, she moved to Texas to live with her grandfather. She graduated from high school in Cotulla, Texas, and eventually came back to Green Bay because she missed her father and her brother, which again doesn't surprise me any because, as I've indicated, I think they both love her very much. She's worked in this community. I read over the pre-sentence investigation report that I ordered, and that outlines some work experience that she has, and I think that's a favorable character trait because, quite frankly, not everyone that lives in this community does work, and I think it indicates someone who wants to get out and support themselves and not make anybody else do it. But that reflects on character. She has a limited court record. Certainly we have pretty much the entire extent of her criminal record in front of us here today. But it's a limited record that reflects on character. She's got a family who cares about her, and although sometimes I think people take that for granted, if you sit in this courtroom long enough, you'll realize that you should never take your family for granted because so many people come in sitting in that chair in an orange jumpsuit and have absolutely no one who will come in and say, I'm with her. And that takes a little bit of fortitude to come in and do that. And frankly, today she's got extended family that comes in and does that for her because her direct family are unable to do that for various reasons. And so I think that speaks to Ms. Schabusiness's character because there's people in this world who find value and worth in her that they're willing to come in and stand behind her. So I think that reflects on character. I'm cognizant of the fact that she began using drugs at a very young age. Marijuana at age 12, cocaine at around 18, and methamphetamine at around 18 as well. We've heard a lot of testimony about drug usage. I don't have any doubt that has an impact on how people conduct their lives and behave from moment to moment. But quite frankly, as far as this incident and these events go, I think I've spoken to this already in prior hearings, but the fact of the matter is, when I watched the interview with law enforcement shortly after these events, I observed someone who was lucid, understanding what was going on, was tracking what was being asked of her, answers were tracking. Everything seemed to be together at that moment. I don't really see the influence of drugs now. It doesn't mean it's not there, but I didn't see it in that interview, which is the most close proximity to the events of this night that we have is that interview. And right then and there, she seemed to be very lucid in what she was doing. But I don't doubt that there's a long history of drug use, serious drug use. Methamphetamine is a plague in this community, and it seeped into this case as well. And it's something that we have to constantly fight against. It's not a battle that the system wins often, but we're making some headway. And every little step we take is perhaps one life that can be saved as a result of that drug coming into this community. But it's a big problem, and it is in this case. I've heard about Ms. Schabusiness's mental health history. I've read stacks and stacks of mental health records that have come in as recently as a few days ago. And I read them over, which allowed me to learn even more about Ms. Schabusiness and about her character and who she is as a person. I've heard about her son who lives in Texas, and I'm absolutely convinced that she loves her son. I'm going to say more about that in a minute, but that's a piece of who she is because she's a mom. And I think that is a title that convinced that a person comes into this court with their life up to that point in time as a demonstration of their character. What kind of a person are they? What do they bring to the table as a member of the human community? Not just this community, but as a community, the human community as a whole. And there are some things about Ms. Schabusiness that speak well of that. I was a little bit put off by a statement that I read in the pre-sentence investigation report, frankly, from her father. He said on page 17 of that report, I feel like the system could have helped Taylor and kind of failed her as well. And I reflected on that because it's difficult to understand who people refer to when they say the system fails people. Because you know what? It's not the job of the system to raise people's children. The system tries to do that. The system is not perfect. Like our fight against methamphetamine is not perfect, but we carry the fight on.
Ooh, He gave a slap to the face to the dad. What do you think? Sound like it to me. Now, Purple, you saying something here. Here you go. Greta Suits sharing a link of her story above. Who is this? Because if you're trying to put links on here, I have my links blocked. I don't know. Were you trying to put a link for me to look at? If you can't, email it to me so I can check it. I think that's what you said. Story above? Yeah. Because if you try to put links, it's not going to go through. It's going to be blocked. All right, let's get back to it. Wait a minute. I have a quick question as it relates. Excuse me. I have a quick question relates to the American system. During trials, are the courts open to all and anyone? I ask because I'm wondering if some of these peeps there are also general public. Yeah, you open it's open for the public, for people to go in. You can't sit in the trials. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Good question though. All right, and I will show the body cam after. But if anybody needs to leave, I completely understand. But I'll put the body cam after because I have a little time here. A huge slap. That was a huge slap to Dad, wasn't it? But I mean, the judge kind of got a point. It's not about them. You know, it's the parents. Everybody has to work together. But, you know, we have to put some, you know, in the legal system too. We have to put some fault in because sometimes they let these kids sleep through the trap, especially, you know, the kids that's in foster care. They're not sitting there watching them to make sure they're being fed and taken care of and bathed and going to school. And the next thing you know, you find out the kid is unalive by the foster parents. And no one has went to go and check on them for months. Ridiculous. They need to check these social workers. They really do. And I feel sorry for the good social workers that's doing their job. Boy. All right, let's get back to it.
People in our community get into the system, be that the court system or the system dealing with child protection. Really, I think what they're referring to, I don't know, but it seems to be the government. The government needs to come in and do more to take care of people who have gone astray. And I'm not sure that that's the case. Nonetheless, attempts are made. Attempts are being made in this courthouse every day. And to suggest that somehow it's the system that failed. It always surprises me a little bit when people come into court. They're coming in a orange jumpsuit and chains to suggest that it's the system that's failed my daughter. There's a certain irony in that. There really is. And it disturbed me when I read that piece. Not so sure it's really relevant to what should happen to Mr. Business, but it was relevant to what I heard from this witness here today, because I think the system does the best it can. It's imperfect, and it has very much to do with the amount of resources that the public wants to put into the system, and those resources are finite. But as I say, in this building, the system is doing everything it can to fight drug use, with all of our treatment courts, with everything we do, to try to help push back the plague of drug use that's.
When they refer to the system, it seems like the judge is taking this very personal towards him because he's in the system. See, this is what I'm talking about. Yep. Poor defense. You did the best that you can. I have to say, this defense, he did a phenomenal job, but you was dealing with a judge who already have his mindset. It's either his way or the highway compared to these other judges I've seen. So he did the best he can. And I have to say, he did a phenomenal job, this is my opinion, of when dealing with her mental health. That she should be in a facility. Now, I don't agree with this, you know, being out on parole, probation, whatever, later on in the future. No. Just keep her where she at. He said, you tell them, Judge. Well, Amber says, true. His mind is already set. It's been set. If you watch that trial, I mean, it's so short. It was only like about a week. You'd be watching trial back and forth. You'd be like, I could understand, as serious as this case is, how that trial was so fast. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't. Okay. What else Purple says? Oh, she's looking like, have mercy on me. Yeah, there's this, where I pause, it does look like that. I don't think she cares or whatever. She's gone. And whoever those people that's talking to her in the head might be the one telling her, kill, kill, kill. Die, die, die. What horror flick was that? Kill, kill, kill. Die, die, die. Oh, some crazy horror flick. All right, let's get back to it.
Occurred, and that we've heard so much about in this case. So I read that statement. I heard from Mr. Business's father. He is coming in here to talk about his daughter, who's also going through the system. And I couldn't help but think of everything I heard about Mr. Business's son, because it seems to be a cycle. It seems to be just a circle. It's coming around again. So that if he ever finds himself in the situation that his mother finds himself in, where she's the only one he's got left to come in and speak for him, again, I guess it's the system that's done something, but it all starts, frankly, at somebody's home and what they have to offer to their children. And so anyways, I reflect on that. But I'm also convinced that, no one is responsible for where they come from, but you are responsible for where you're going. So there's a lot of tragedy that has occurred in Mr. Business's life. There really is. I've already reflected on some of that. And it almost seems as if you could apply the phrase, she never had a chance, to Mr. Business. But as I said, you're not responsible for where you come from, but you are responsible for the choices you make about where you're going. And Mr. Business has got to be held responsible for that. And this is the ending of a process that is doing just that. At the same time.
See, ladies and gentlemen, I hope I don't sound like a bad person to anybody who's here or watching replay. It kind of disturbs me when people says you can't do anything about where you came from, but you can do something about where you're going. Well, if you've been abused, SA, mentally, physically, you've been through so much as a child for a period of years, you've been exposed to stuff that a child shouldn't be exposed, or if they took away your childhood, you have some kids out here taking care of their parents as a child, you know what I mean? Helping their alcoholic mother and father, they never had a childhood. I mean, there's different scenarios. There's all forms of child abuse. Sometimes it's not that easy when they get older, when he says where you're going in life. It's not that easy. You're so messed up in the head. And you never went to therapy to really get some real good therapy to help you. That's why I said, like with the ham house situation, I pray to God that the mother, Briasia's mother, makes sure she gives DL and the oldest son some good therapy. And not just no couple of visits once a week for 6 months. No, they need some serious, intense therapy. This is some serious crap what DL went with. He lost his sister. You understand? But we don't know how much the mother is gonna really be, they're taking him to therapy. So I'm just saying, it's just my thoughts on it. Everybody could preach about it, but it's sometimes it really isn't that easy. Easier said than to be done. Yeah, I feel she's absolutely stunning. She's a very pretty girl. She could have made big bucks just off her hair. Hair commercials. You ain't gotta talk. Just do the hair commercial, float in the air, let the fan hit your hair. Boo, boo, boo. And she could have sold like crazy. Oh, boy. All right. Purple says, I wish they could put her in a cell with Uncle John. Oh, my God, Purple, you went in. Oh, he won't have a chance with her. Nah, I'm boycotting that facial painting on her behalf. I still can't look at her and be serious. I know what the heck. Oh my God, it's definitely a uphill battle to fight the chips stacking against you. Yeah, it's not that easy. Maybe I just have too much empathy, and sometimes for certain people or whatever, I just try to understand what could have caused it. Not saying I'm giving them a pass or whatever, let them go. But what is the root? What caused it? But everybody thinks things differently. Like this judge here, he ain't trying to hear it. You don't want him as your judge. All right, it's definitely an up. Oh, I did say that one. Okay. All right, let's go back so we can finish this judge up, and then we can get into the body cam that they was talking about. So I said, let me show the body cam.
I'm absolutely convinced that, irrespective of the sentence that Mr. Business gets, which in light of these charges is going to be a life sentence, Every human being has the ability to move forward and find meaning in their life, and this business has that opportunity, just like anybody else in this courtroom. She has the ability to do that, and I certainly hope that for her. But all of those things I reflect on when I consider the character of this defendant. Next, I move on to the gravity of the offense. And I sit in this chair often, and I address situations where people have lost their lives, or people have been violated terribly. And I always indicate that really the offense in this case can't be overstated. And that seems very appropriate to say that in most cases. When there's been such a death or a violation, but in this case it seems different. You seem to run out of superlatives when describing what happened in this case. You really do. The list of superlatives don't seem to measure up to what you see, what you hear about, and what we heard about in the trial. This crime offends human decency, it offends human dignity, and it offends the human community. It really does. When someone loses their life needlessly, it's tragic. It really is. It's tragic for family and friends and community. When life is taken from a person in the fashion that it was in this case, where the victim's remains are cut up and packaged in containers, it's difficult to identify a human nature in those activities. It really is. It's very troubling. It's difficult to recognize the general belonging that most people have for their community. It's difficult to recognize community in anything that happened in this case. This is a small community that we live in, where the web of relationships almost encompass everyone who lives here, such that people look out for each other and care when something bad happens to one of our members. And in a broader sense, the community we exist in is the human community, as I've reflected on, and these actions are foreign to all of that community, and they shock the community beyond the ability to adequately express in words. They really do, and that's the gravity of this offense. That is the gravity of this offense. There aren't superlatives for it. There aren't really words for it. You can get a sense of it. You can get a sense of it and a feel for it, but there's no really way to express the gravity of this offense. So the need to protect the public is an important factor the court needs to struggle with as well. And in light of what I've just indicated, I think it's plain that there is a need to protect the public in this case. As I said, this behavior seems so removed from the human community as to be unpredictable. It really is. And in a place where this kind of an offense, kind of actions, kind of a crime is possible, with no advanced warning signs, and absolutely anything's possible then. Where this kind of thing is possible, absolutely anything is possible. And from that, the public needs protection. They really do. I've outlined, what I think are aggravating circumstances in this case. There are mitigating circumstances, as I've said. There's things about Ms. Schabusiness regarding her upbringing and what brought her here, the struggle she's had with some mental health issues, and struggling perhaps in the context of those issues with a family who wasn't always as present as they could have been. Those are mitigating sets of circumstances. But all of those things weigh into what this court has to address. So when I consider what is an appropriate sentence, first, I think the law requires that I at least look at least for some of these cases, I'll take a look at probationary sentences. Those aren't appropriate. They would diminish the severity of the offense. But at this time, given all the factors that I have to consider, it's the decision of this court and the judgment of the law that Ms. Schabusiness be sentenced as follows. As to in 22 CF 363, count one, that's the first degree intentional homicide as a repeater. It's a Class A felony. I'm going to impose life imprisonment without the possibility of extended supervision. I believe that's appropriate in light of the findings that I've already made. As far as count two, mutilation of a corpse as a repeater, a Class F felony, I'm going to adopt the recommendation of the pre-sentence investigation writer, 7.5 years of initial confinement followed by 4 years of extended supervision. That'll be consecutive to count one. As far as count three, third degree sexual assault as a repeater, Class G felony, I'm going to impose 3 years of initial confinement followed by 4 years of extended supervision. That will be consecutive to count two and count one. As far as the revocation cases, I'm going to impose 1 year of incarceration on each of those counts. Those will run concurrent to the other offenses. I've reviewed, as I've indicated, reviewed both of the pre-sentence investigation reports. There's certainly valuable things in them. I'm going to, as conditions of supervision, I'm going to require no contact with the victim's family, maintain absolute sobriety, complete SOT assessment and treatment follow-through, obtain and maintain full-time employment. To the extent there's ever supervision, GPS monitoring, I'm going to require an AODA assessment and follow-through, psychological evaluation and follow-through. The recommendations that are contained in pre-sentence investigation report submitted by the defense indicates or suggests that there be services engaged in for substance abuse and other mental health issues. That's a reasonable suggestion, and I think I've encompassed it in the recommendations that I made, which is there needs to be a compass evaluation and follow-through with any treatment recommendations that are proposed, but again, an AODA assessment and follow-through and psychological evaluation so that Ms. Schabusiness can get the help that she needs while she serves the sentence. I'm going to order court costs. It's $538 per count. That's a total of $1,614. That'll be the order of the court. I do need to indicate, as I'm required to at sentencing, that now that Ms. Schabusiness is convicted of a felony, she'll lose her right to vote until it's given back to her by the governor or by state law, and she may not possess firearm or body armor. Any other record you'd like me to make, Mr. Saunders?
No.
Mr. Freilich, any other record?
Your Honor, the 581 days credit for time served.
Any objection to that?
No, and there's an additional 60 days on the revocation case.
No objection to that.
581 days credit on the first case, and then on the revocation cases, 60 days credit. And that'll be the order of the court. Then, Mr. Freilich, you can go over your client's appeal rights with her.
Yes, I will.
And with that, then, this matter is now concluded. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I didn't get it. Oh, he's explained everything to her. So, she's not going to get no parole, right? Nothing. She's not going to no mental institution, nothing. Okay. Alright. Alright, what did you say? 10 days. 10 days to Dinkin sentencing. Yeah, it's coming up. I'll be doing something on that one. I might not do it when it's current live, be the evening time. We'll see. Unless I'm working from home, then I'll do it live when it's live. Hell, no doubt. Get life without parole as well. Exactly. Just put them all. Just get rid of them all. Alright. We're going to get in, because there's nothing else here. No. I don't understand why they had this at the ending. I don't understand now. I thought they were going to show her like going to prison or something. I don't know. Okay. I know this. I know he made sure she was handcuffed, like, you're not going to jump me like that other lawyer. But he probably told her straight up, look, I'm not having that. You're not going to jump me like you did this other lawyer. Not at all. Okay, now we're going to get into the body cam, ladies and gentlemen. Let's watch this body cam. She's a little woman. Unless these guys are truly huge. But she is such a little woman. Look at her. She's tiny. Look like she's about, what, 5'3"? Alright. Bye, Schabusiness. But I'm going to do some research. I want to look up the, let me put some music on for y'all while I put up the other one. I want to look up the father. I got to look up this father. Find out information about him. How the Dinkins look surprised when found. Yeah, did you see how? Oh gosh, he's gonna piss me off. Did you see him with his, strutting his shoulders like, really? Did you see that? Did you see that? The judge is almost saying to the dad, you are not the best dad model. If you weren't in prison, her life may have been different. Bingo. Go ahead, Jones. Go ahead. You call it as it is. Yep. Bye-bye, Lunatic. Thank you for showing this case. I couldn't watch this and Johnson's case. Yeah, I did this I forgot when it was, or whatever it was, but I did a while ago. All right, let me stop now. We're going to get into the body cam. Let's just watch this body cam here. Beautiful woman, but insane. And you know what? May your soul rest in peace. Rest in peace. Shane. Was it Shane, his name? Sorry about what happened to you. Shouldn't have happened. And prayers to your mother, because that must be the hardest thing. When she walked down those stairs and when she looked in that bucket, her son. Wow. You think she don't need therapy? Okay. All right, let's get into the body cam, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to watch the body cam. All right. They was talking about the body cam, so maybe we need to watch it and discuss it. All right, let's get it.
Hey. Is this blood? Does this look like blood to you? Or am I just tripping? Bloody footprint? You see this right here? Could possibly be blood. Hey, who did that? Hi, Taylor. How's it going? Officer Russell with the Green Bay Police Department. Just make sure you ain't got nothing on you here. With Taylor. Taylor, you have one more for your, wrist. Just put your hands behind your back, quick. Anybody else in your apartment? You got blood on your hands here, blood on. No, on your hands. Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to. What apartment is it? What apartment are you in? Do we have an Adam 3 come up? You got someone there, get out here. On the double. Which apartment? One that is what they came back to. Yeah, go. That's her, we can get here now. Watch this window right here. Gun. Go in here. Come to the back of the apartments. That's where we are. You, come over here. 2 more will be fine. If 84 is here. You have contact with the mail. Walk out towards me. Have a seat. Get out of the ground. Who else is in the apartment? Be straight up. Tomes? Who else? Just Tomes? Is he armed? Nobody's armed? Nobody's armed. You sure? I'm sure. Green Bay Police! Everybody get here! Announce yourself now! Go ahead. Negative, we got enough here.
And for the record, 4 minutes of that exhibit, actually the entirety of that exhibit was played into the record. Officer, having reviewed that video, do you recognize the video that was depicted?
Yes.
Was that consistent with the body camera worn footage that you were wearing on February 23rd?
Yes.
I'd move exhibit 81.
Any objection?
No.
Received. So I want to ask just a few questions then, Officer. There's an earlier part in the clip where you had noted some area of suspected blood, is that right?
That's right.
And what do you recall observing?
It looked like a couple of drops of blood in front of the vehicle, along with a footprint that was within, or that encompassed one of the drops.
And I guess was that pointed out to other officers who were on scene?
Yes.
You mentioned then the lights of the vehicle were activated and sort of flash, is that right?
Yes.
And then about 10 seconds later, Ms. Schabusiness exited the apartment?
Yes.
At the end of the video, where were you walking Ms. Schabusiness to?
I was walking her to my patrol car.
And was she, I guess, put in the back of the squad car?
Yes, she was.
Was there any further questioning or anything done at that point?
The only question I asked Ms. Schabusiness was if she knew why we were there.
Okay. And then did you ultimately just transport her then to the Green Bay Police Department?
Yes.
When you got to the Green Bay Police Department, what further steps did you take?
We placed.
This is how she was looking in the trial. Now, let me go back. There was comments that said, okay, Lovejoy said, and welcome back, girl. I didn't know that her father abused her. That is sad if it's true. I think the loss of her mother and her brother devastated her. Yeah, I think that had a big impact on her mental state. Now, like I said, with the father, I'm saying again to everybody, I could be completely wrong. But it did happen to as a child. I think they said it was her father. But I could be completely wrong. But all right, what else? All right. B says, I really want to know what the deceased did to her to murder him. Did she knock him out? Were they fighting? Basically, they both was drug heads. He was a drug head. We just have to call it this. He was a meth head. This is what they had in common. I think they met in middle school or elementary school, was friends or whatever. And I guess he was out of contact. And then she got with her husband, right? That the father said he put her on meth. And things wasn't working out because I think he was physically abusive to her. So they broke up. Then plus in jail, but she had the baby or whatever. And I guess she went home, had a baby, and then she came back in town. And then she started messing with Shane, the guy that you see, the victim. But they both was drug addicts, whatever. But they was into, the BDSM, a little rough sex, right? So I guess that day they was going through their regular session in their mama's basement, but she took it to the next level. I guess they wasn't using safe words, or she was ignoring his safe word. I don't know. And then it got to the point that she did what she did. But I also have the interrogation, so y'all could look at the interrogation too. I did the interrogation. All right, let's go back. But this is her in the court. And wait a minute, there was some other comment too. Shoot, I feel I need therapy after hearing all of this. I feel sad. All right, what else was there too? Susie Q said, I don't know if the dad abused her, but he's in jail for SA of a minor. Exactly. So I don't know exactly if he did that to her. But, that's all I'm just saying. Okay, and what else? Now, I didn't know this part. Lovejoy said her father remarried within months of her mother's passing. Wow. Wow. That's interesting. And it was strange the mother died, if I'm correct. Right, Lovejoy? Let me know if you know. Didn't she just die in her sleep? Such a young woman just died in her sleep? That could mean that he was cheating all along. Yep. A couple of months? Yeah, he was cheating. All right, what am I up to? Well, let's go back to the body cam. Sorry.
We're in interview room 3, I believe, where I had Officer Kenny assist me with taking photographs of what looked like smeared blood on her hands and on her clothing. I also had her remove the sweatshirt that had what appeared to be blood on it, as well as her socks and her shoes.
And then was another officer requested to assist with the further removal of some clothing?
I believe after I left the room, there was another officer that might have been asked to assist with the removal of some additional clothing so that Ms. Schabusiness could get temporary clothing because we wanted all her clothes as evidence.
The clothing items that you took, did those stay within your custody and control?
Yes.
And did you subsequently enter them into evidence at the Green Bay Police Department?
I did.
I guess in totality, on February 23rd, in your interactions with Ms. Schabusiness, did you ask sometimes some questions of her?
I didn't ask questions of her. I more like commands like, hey, please remove your jacket. Please remove your hat.
That's something to think about. Susie Q says, I don't think they would have allowed her abuser to testify on his behalf. See, that's what I was thinking about too. Wow. All right. Thank you for sharing that. Something to think about. Resume.
Let me get your shoes. Sit here. Just commands, not really questions.
The commands that your request that you were giving Ms. Schabusiness, was she in that time following those?
Yes, she was.
Was she in some instances responding appropriately?
Yes, she was.
In the context of your questions and commands?
Yes, she was.
For instance, did you ask if there was anyone else in the residence at that point?
I did ask her.
Did she provide a response?
She did.
And was there a person located in the yard?
Yes, there was.
Okay, Purple said her mom was sick. Oh, so that's why. And a lot of men, I'm not saying all, But a lot of husbands, when a woman falls sick, they can't handle it. And especially if it's sick to the point that she can't fulfill him sexually in the bed. Oh yeah, they'll start cheating. They'll find a way to get the heck out that marriage. And I don't understand. They're supposed to be through sickness and health, right? But the woman, man falls sick, she's standing there, changing his diapers and everything. She'll support him all the way to the end and take care of him. Wow. Not saying all men. Now, you have some good husbands out here. They will stand by their wife. They love them. They're going to make sure she go to appointments and take care of. But you ain't going to find too many men like that when you fall sick. Reason.
Thank you, officer. I have nothing further.
Cross-examination, Mr. Freilich.
Thank you. Officer Russell, good morning.
Good morning.
So you were asked to go directly to 2353 Eastman Avenue on February 23rd of 2022, correct?
Yes.
Who asked you to go over there?
I was dispatcher, and Sergeant Bresser also instructed me to go there.
Sergeant Bresser?
Yes.
Okay, did you go by yourself?
Several other officers were sent to the location.
And what was the purpose of you going over there?
The purpose of me going over there was to relieve deputies that were on scene, along with assist with the overall incident.
Were you going over there to look at a vehicle or talk to people or what, you know?
And let me add another thing that some of these men would say. I'm talking about these are dusty type of men. Okay, well, you can't really have sex, right, babe? But you could still give me a blowjob, right? Are you serious? You serious, right? Your wife is sick, but he's still worrying about getting a blowjob. You see what I'm talking about? What kind of man is that? That's just a true dusty. Yep. The judge looked serene and blured much to the book. Oh, okay. I like him. Yeah, he definitely to the book. He definitely to the book. Very stern. Oh, stern. Very stern. All right, let's resume. I also have another body cam, too, I can show you. It's about the same amount of men want me to show that one. I don't think I ever saw that one. It just came up on the feed when I looked this one up. Matter of fact, let's end this one. I'm going to show the other one. Well, let's just finish it off. I'll finish it off. Then I'm going to show the other one.
I was tasked, me and other officers were tasked with locating a person who was last seen with the victim, as well as looking at the vehicle as I described earlier.
Okay. So you were asked to go and see if you could make contact with Taylor Schabusiness?
Correct.
Have you been involved in death scene or homicide scene investigations prior to this particular?
What Susie Q said, some men just want what they want regardless. So sad. And to my, my gentleman viewers, I'm not coming down on y'all. Not at all. If you're a gentleman, you ain't gonna be that one. I'm talking about the dusty, low-life dudes I'm talking about. Well, I know you ain't feeling too well, but you can still suck me off. Are you serious? Ladies, if y'all dealing with that type of guy, y'all really need to get rid of him. He gotta go. Just tell him to go and kick rocks. Tell him to go and find himself some damn prostitute. The heck? Alright. Let me put the music on while you wait, and I'm going to show this other clip. Now, let me find... I'm about sure they said it was another one. Wait a minute. Where is it? Where is it? I know I just saw another one on the side here. Oh, yeah. This is the body cam when this is the one when the officer found the head.
If you're over...
Oh, my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna think I have to put a little quick warning just in case anybody don't want to watch this. Yeah, this is different, right? Yeah, this is different. Oh, okay, ladies and gentlemen, I promise y'all this is the last clip I'm going to show. Let's just watch this one. Now, I'm going to say is, I've seen some of this, but I can't remember the details, so if it's too much for you, too graphic, trigger warning, or whatever, and you need to leave, I completely understand. I completely understand, because I know a lot of my viewers, you know, are victims of some sort of violence or whatever, so this might be too much for them. But I don't know exactly what they're going to show. I don't think it's, you know, they can't really show too much graphic stuff on, you know, YouTube. YouTube don't play that. But I'm just saying, just the thought of it might bother people. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get it. Let's watch this clip. It's about 9 minutes. 9 minutes and 40 seconds. Let's get it.
Observing the bucket, I guess where in the basement was that located?
As you go down the stairs, if you turn to the immediate right, it was at the bottom of the stairs to the right.
Was it in pretty close proximity to the stairs?
Yes.
After you made that observation, what did you do?
After I pulled the towel off,
Yes.
I had Officer Plunky come downstairs and just verify we had in fact found a human head in the bucket. And then we started to notify a supervisor and then ask for additional units.
And at that time, on February 23rd, 2022, did your department utilize body-worn cameras?
Yes.
Is that something that was operating on that day?
Yes.
And did you have the chance to review your body-worn camera prior to your testimony today?
Yes, I did.
If you were able to observe that here in court, would you be able to recognize it?
Yes, I'll be able to.
Okay.
I think you're going to see the mother, because that's the mother behind that door. And she's going to tell him what's happening. Okay. Resume.
Okay. Did you both see this? I opened the towel, I picked up the towel and dropped it because I don't know what the fuck it is, man. I have bad vision and she's like, is that what I think it is? I'm like, I don't fucking know what the fuck it is.
Do you want to stay with those two? I'll just go see it.
Yeah.
Where's it at?
So right there, look right, there's a bucket with a towel on it.
Just keep it. Dude, it is. Come here. Hold on 1 second. Jeez. Let's just. Okay. Hold on, just. That's real, right? That's real, though. Oh, I get.
4 Edmund, 82 Sam.
Oh, and when you saw that clip with the little piece of the mother and the other man that was talking, that's her living boyfriend. And he did go on the stand. All right. B says, so wait, where's his body parts sprawled all over the various parts of that property? No. She put the head and his wood stick inside that bucket. Excuse me. I don't know if there was other body parts there, but she basically cut up the body, traveled, put him in a crock pot, had it in the van. That van was her. She was living at that guy's house. It was his van, and she took his car without his permission, if I'm correct. Put some body parts there, dumped in different areas. I think she basically told him, let's do a scavenger hunt. Find the body parts. And there's some body parts, ladies and gentlemen. I remember somebody was on the stand, and they said they couldn't find those body parts. Where are they? You don't think she ate them, do she? When I heard that part, that's the first thing came to my mind, due to the fact is she looked up to Jeffrey Dahmer's. But she didn't say that in interrogation. Nothing came up, but there were certain body parts. Purpose says, Donna, thank you for being so gracious to us. Blessings to you. Thank you, Purple, for the beautiful words. You allow us to chat it up with some or difference of opinions. Exactly. Because I'm learning from you. You might see something I don't see, and I'm like, wow, I didn't think of it that way. So we all here to educate each other and help each other out. All right. Same difference. Hey, love your channel and how you conduct it. Thank you so much. Glad to have you here. Thank you. All right, let's get back to it.
I know you're busy over there, but this is actually what it's going to be. It's not going to be a 961 thing or a 96 thing, so we're going to need more units here.
So the officer put the flashlight into the bucket? You know what? Shout out to these officers. When they leave their house to go to work, you don't know what you are going to encounter. You just don't know. When they got that phone call from the mother, they probably like, nah, she got to be exaggerating. Nope, she wasn't. Resume.
Was that Fred one? No, for right now.
You know what I notice about these lunatics? You see how she's paying big time attention to that body cam? Looking at her work that she did. This is crazy. This is insane. All right, I want to pause too. TB says, interesting that no heard a scream or anything. That's the part that puzzled me too, TB. I could understand. But I guess they was so high on drugs and they was into that, BDSM, and she was, choking him or whatever, choking him with something, because this is what they into. Well, there's all forms of BDSM. There's a big umbrella, so it's not everybody just think it's whips and chains and tying up. No, so it's a whole big umbrella of what considered be BDSM. So maybe they was just so high. I think he was just choking her, and I mean she was choking him because he was into. I forgot the word for it. It's called. Some people when they have sex with the choking, and she just went so far, and then he ended up dying, and then she cut his head off, and Lord have mercy. But yeah. And she used the kitchen knives, so she went upstairs in the kitchen and got the knives and everything, went downstairs. Wow. All right. Resume.
If we could get more units here sooner rather than later, that'd be appreciated. We've got quite a bit of blood down here. I want to clear this rest of this house. We've got 2 people in the house for sure.
For the record, the entirety of Exhibit 2, approximately.
Thank you, B. Thank you. Sexual asphyxiation, I hope I'm saying right, is the act of choking someone for sexual pleasure. It falls under the umbrella of breath play. Yes! You understand what I'm talking about. Yes, it goes on there with the breath play. Yes. And that was what's happening. And then she took the strap on while he was unalive, if you know what I'm talking about. You gonna tell me this woman is not insane? Get out of here. She's completely out of her mind. Completely. Oh, sorry for screaming. And remember, his junk is underneath his head inside the bucket. Yep. And I think that's what happened. They was, this is what they was into. They was into drugs. They was into BDSM. And they was doing all kind of stuff. But that night, it was his last night of it. Last night of drugs. Last night of BDSM. Oh, boy. Wow. Resume.
Only 5 minutes 59 seconds was played. Officer, having reviewed the exhibit, do you recognize the video that was depicted?
Yes, I do.
Does that appear to be consistent with your body-worn camera footage that you observed?
Yes, it is.
And does that appear to also be consistent with your recollection of the scene on Stony Brook Lane on February 23rd?
Correct.
I'd move Exhibit 2.
Any objection?
No objection.
The Exhibit 2 will be received.
So, Officer, I want to ask a few questions about that. When you arrived, which door to the residence did you enter through?
It would have been the side door off the driveway.
Okay. And was there a sort of a storm door that was a part of that door as well?
Yes, I believe so.
All right. After you observed the bucket, it appeared that you walked around the basement area of the residence. Is that right?
Yes, it did.
At that point, did you see any other parts of a human body?
No other parts of the human body, no.
Okay. Did you notice any areas of potential blood?
Yes.
And where was that?
Beyond the stack of mattresses, there appeared to be blood on the floor and then small chunks of human flesh.
Okay. In other areas of that basement, did you locate any obvious signs of blood?
There was a dried blood stain on the mattresses, and that was all that I remember seeing.
After you and Officer Plonky, was that the officer who is also depicted in that video?
Yes, it is.
Did other officers arrive on scene?
Yes.
And what did you and the other officers do at that point?
Sergeant Brester was next to arrive on scene. I kind of informed him of what we had up to this point and then what we needed to do next. We had 2 other officers responding. Once we got all the officers there that we needed, we conducted a protective sweep of the residence just to make sure there was no other people that we needed to know about, just to make sure that there was no other potential threats.
And you're the first officer to testify, so I'll ask you this because we've heard this term. What is a protective sweep?
It's not a search or anything like that. It's just conducting a sweep of the house just to make sure there's no other people hiding or no other threats.
So essentially a search for people?
Yeah.
Okay. Other than the towel that you lifted off the bucket, was any object moved or rummaged through by officers?
Not the
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna let y'all go. I'm gonna let y'all go. I'm done here. Oh, let me go back. Susie said something here. She smiled when they showed the strap on in the court. I missed that part, but I'm not surprised. I just think that when it comes to her, I think she's hearing people because the way she's acting in the courtroom with those little smiles, and it's like somebody's talking to her in her ear. She's in a whole nother world. She's not here with us. You know, she's been through so much in her childhood. All these deaths back to back. You know, what she been through. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not trying to give her a pass with everything, but I'm just saying she needs to be in a facility for the mentally disturbed. And don't ever let her out. Just keep medicating her. You know, because if not, the other people that's there is going to be their life in danger. Good night and God bless. And God bless you too. Thank you for being here. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Thank you for hanging here because this was a long live stream. But after some of the comments and questions that y'all had, so let me just show this the body cam. But let me read the poll before we leave. Sometimes I be forgetting the poll. Y'all have to remind me sometimes. All right. We have 26 votes. And the question is, are you a victim of child abuse? 38% says, oh yes, Donna. 62% says, no, thank God. And the next question is, yes, Donna, and went through therapy, 0%. Thank you, everybody, for hitting the poll. Thank you for sharing that. And you know what? Just be safe out here, ladies and gentlemen. Teach your kids, your nieces and nephews, everybody, don't do drugs. It's just not worth it. You know, especially when these people's under 25 doing all these drugs and smoking all these weed, waking up in the morning smoking weed, walking through. I'm telling you, when I was with that principal, I couldn't believe the stories that he was telling me. I couldn't believe it. Because everybody just walking through the halls high. But he said not on his watch. If he seen it, he was walking through the hall. Come in the office. What's going on? Why are you so red? Good principal. All right. Good night and blessings. A good night to you and blessings. And have a good evening. Yes, everybody had themselves a good evening again. So thank you for being here. Thank you for engaging. And like I always say is, what do I say? Date smart, not thirsty. And let's add to this story. Stay away from drugs. Adios.